What's up, everyone, and welcome back. It's the last podcast of July, and then we're all going to Sturgis, right? You going? I'm stoked. I'm ready to get out of here. I'm almost done with my bike, and it was a good time sitting here talking last night with Daniel, who is the creative behind Proper Baggers. We've been friends for quite a few years, man, and he's been someone I lean on, and I found so many awesome people through following the Instagram page Proper Baggers, and I've had the pleasure of hanging out with this dude in many different places and you know, good times. In this podcast, we kind of talk about a lot of different shit, but, you know, before we get into that, we got to talk about Simpson motorcycle helmets, my helmet of choice, and the choice of a lot of other people. So it's a good helmet. You should check them out at simpsonmotorcyclehelmets.com and give them a follow at Simpson Motorcycle Helmets. They're always reposting really awesome content on there. So yeah, do that. You can catch the thundermax team over at Black Hills Harley-Davidson during the 81st Sturgis Rally. They will be installing thundermax ECMs, M8 cooling fans for touring models, and iRide rear suspension systems. They are offering free installs, and yes, you can name drop our Fast Life offer code in person, which will save you 10%. Our code is always accepted on shoptmax.com, so no worries if you're not making Sturgis this year. And while you're at it, give these guys a follow on Instagram at thundermaxEFI. While in Sturgis, you can slide over to the Big Engine Bar at the Buffalo Chip, where you can pick up the all-new Lexin G16. You guys have heard all about the amazing features this unit has, like Bluetooth 5.0, music sharing, and up to 16 rider comm system. You can go to their website, lexin-moto.com, or better yet, go see them in Sturgis at the Buffalo Chip and drop the Fast Life offer code online or in person to get yourself 15% off your entire order. Joining the Lexin family is a smart move in 2021, and you're not going to find another Bluetooth headset company that can touch Lexin's customer service or match their overall support for our motorcycle scene. Damn straight. While in Sturgis, stop by and see our friends at Letric Lighting Co. They will be set up at the JP Cycles in Sturgis off Lozelle Street. They will have a fully interactive display so you can see in person the electric lighting difference. They will be offering free installs on most electric lighting and Badlands products purchased at the rally. If you drop our name Fast Life with your purchase of $75 or more, they will be giving away a free t-shirt while supplies last. Find out more about Letric Lighting Co. by visiting namscustomcycleproducts.com and giving them a follow on Instagram at Letric Lighting Co. You can catch the S&S Cycles team at Black Hills Harley-Davidson, where you'll be able to buy and have installed a handful of their products. Stop by, tell them you heard about them on the Fast Life podcast, shake their hand, grab some swag, and don't forget to follow these guys on Instagram at SS Cycle and check out their products on their website, sscycle.com. A lot of great stuff to get your motorcycle performing at its peak ability. Is that a word? Anyway, check them out. Great guys, and looking forward to doing more with those guys in the future. You guys check out all the sponsors. They will be at Sturgis. You'll be able to catch up with them, meet them in person, and hopefully get some stuff for your bike or your helmet. Yeah, it's going to be a good time in Sturgis. Hope to see a lot of you guys out there. And we kind of talk a little bit about that in this podcast. And let's get right into this podcast with Daniel from Proper Baggers.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
Well, cool. Daniel.
How's it going?
Dude, I haven't seen you in forever.
Fuck, I haven't left the country in forever.
How's that? How is that? Like just being stuck in Canada?
It's terrible. It's because I speak to all you guys all the time.
Yeah.
And you know the way it is. It feels like, you know, your closest friends are the ones on the net who live so far away, who you never see, that you chat with all the time. But
yeah,
these days, that's what it feels like, the guys who live across the country. So I haven't seen any of the guys. And since the last trip I was on was with Kyle and Monty in February 2020.
Yeah, when
literally
you guys,
the last time.
Yeah, you guys went out there to California, rented a couple lowriders and went riding, huh?
Yeah. We rented some Softails. So that was it. We did that. And then I've been kind of grounded I was on a plane for the first time last week for business. I went to Toronto, but next week I'm going to New York for a day. I'm doing a build out in New York for work. And then next Friday I'm going to Sturgis.
Oh, you're going?
Yeah, I'm flying in and out. We're flying. Mark and I are in big trouble, and I are flying in and out. We're flying in Friday, flying out Monday.
That's cool. Well, yeah, I mean, you'll get to catch like the FXR show on Sunday, which everybody will be at the chip, and you know, there's plenty to do. So it'd be good to see Mark up there.
There's a bagger show too, isn't there, on the Sunday?
I'm not sure.
Jeff is doing a bagger show.
I don't know. I mean, I'm a judge for the FXR show, and that's always on Sunday. And typically, most of the people in the performance scene let the FXR show be the FXR show, and then they do everything else around it. So if there is something on Sunday, it probably wasn't the best day to pick to do it, because the FXR show is kind of like one of the bigger events, you know.
It's the Deadwood All Out Bagger Show on the 8th. That's the Sunday too, right? At Deadwood. Yeah. But I mean, everybody's going to I'll swing by there, but I know everybody's going to the FXR show and the Bell Brawl.
Yeah, because it's the same day, right? Yeah, because they're right next to each other. So I don't know, man. It's kind of a tough one, but you know, I'm excited, man. Like this whole month push to Sturgis has been unexpected and a pain in the ass, but I welcome it. You know, I like the pressure and shit to kind of motivate me to get things done.
Bike.
Yeah.
You took on the bike.
I mean, that whole situation was just getting rid of the other bike and getting on the new one and getting all that stuff going. It was I didn't plan on doing what I'm doing to it now, but as people started, some of my sponsors, as I started getting parts from my sponsors, I'm like, man, there's no way I can take this bike to Sturgis with a black paint job and these nice ass parts. It just doesn't do it justice. You know what I mean? So put in the extra hours.
So what possessed you? What made you sell the bike? Like every so often I have this thing, but like you built the motor, you built it. It was running great. It was strong.
So
and then just like that.
So when I did my FXR, right? Same thing. I dumped a lot of money into it, spent a lot of time with it, and put a lot of miles on it. And it was at a point where, in order to do or build something new, I was going to have to sell the FXR. Well, to sell it, I would have had to drop another $5,000 or $6,000 into it to get it to where I feel comfortable selling the bike to whoever buys it, right? I don't want to sell it to sell the bike and then all of a sudden the motor pops or some shit like that, you know? Yeah. And so that just turned into something I had to part out because I didn't want to drop another $6,000 or $7,000 into it to make it sellable, you know? Well, the bagger, I spent most of this year doing maintenance to it, getting everything dialed in, and it's as fresh as it's ever going to be. So I was like, well, I can continue to load up miles on this thing, or I can unload it. And, you know, I really that was one of my favorite paint jobs I've ever done, as far as like on a bike that was mine. And I didn't really want to repaint it, but I needed to do something new because of all the travels we do. It doesn't help when it's the same bike over and over and over again. So we kind of have a 1 year turnover as to we need something fresh, even if it's just a paint job, you know. So
I guess that's being a painter, right? You got to keep changing it up because it's what you do, and it's the most visual thing on the bike. Think
about builders, right? Most builders aren't building and bringing the same bike every year. I mean, I think maybe in our scene, maybe, but you know, in
I think you're right.
In the growth of it, you want to have something new and fresh, you know, at least every other year. And I mean, Kyle did it with his you know, Road King.
The King and then the Challenger. Yeah.
So,
but you're right. You, as a builder, as somebody in the scene, if this is how you make your money and make your living, you have to reinvent yourself every year. It's like the bike builders. You build it, you sell it. You build it, you sell it.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people can build and sell, not in our scene.
Exactly. So,
but I mean, some people. Curtis manages to do it.
Yeah, he has a clientele, you know.
Yeah, he has his old clientele. But yeah, I guess I see that. So you put the bike up for sale, and right away somebody reached out to you?
Oh, fuck. I just spilled my beer. I'm not used to having it in a cup. Hold on a second.
I saw that happen from here up. Go.
Fuck. Hold on. It's been a while since we did a Skype podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You know, you don't do these for a lot of people. Fuck, I wish I was there in person doing it. Trust me.
Yeah, no.
One day.
Happen.
One day.
Oh, this room's got to stink now. Anyway, crazy story about the whole cell is the guy that ended up buying it. I was currently painting a Dyna for him that he was building. He's a guy that, you know, I got to meet him and hang out with him a little bit this week, and a really cool dude. Basically, he's an older gentleman, probably, I think it is early 50s, maybe something like that, kind of like Big Trouble's age. Mm-hmm. And then he just kind of like, I guess he kind of found us through listening to the podcast, right? So he kind of found us through that. He doesn't have social media. He started listening to the podcast. I think he found me through Ryan Cruzy when we did a podcast with him. And, you know, just listening to it and us talking about traveling and riding, it got him where he was like, man, I want a bike to travel on. And he has a couple bikes, right? So he had like a Triumph. He has a Softail, like a M8 Softail. And he's building this all-out Dyna. Like, the Dyna's going to be sick as fuck. Mm-hmm. And so he said that he was telling his wife, he was like, man, you know, I really want a bigger bike to travel on. I wish someone like Jace's bike would come up for sale because I'd love to have that. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, 3 days later, mine went up for sale, and he hit me up, and I wasn't asking, like, I mean, nowhere near what was in the bike, but at the same time, it's used. It's got 60,000 miles, but crazy story about that, though.
But the motor's fresh in it.
The motor's fresh, yeah, but check this out. This is crazy. So, you know, I don't know if you remember, but when I bought that motor and I went to New York, and on the way home, my front compression release came out, and in Memphis.
You had that in your story, I remember.
Yeah, so it happened in Memphis, and a few miles from Rusty's house, Black Charlotte, and so he helped me get it fixed the next day. Well, same shit happened to him, the guy while I was riding back to Washington. So he made it to Grand Junction, Colorado, and right when he was exiting to get gas, the front compression release popped out of the motor, right? And basically, just shitty situation, but he ended up, you know, he's mechanically inclined, so he started fucking with it, and I told him exactly what it was, because as soon as he explained it, I was like, check it, and that's what it was. He was 1 mile from a dealership, so he took it over there. Dealership put it back in. They threaded it in, started it, ran fine. As soon as he leaves, pops back out again. Well, what happened was it ended up taking the threads with it. So, yeah, so just a shitty situation for him, but he's been solid with it. But good thing is, and I didn't even know this, is all my shit's still under warranty, bike and the motor.
I was gonna say, yeah, because it's that motor, it's a crate motor, so for sure it's warranty.
Yeah, it's a 1 year warranty, so I had another month left. So basically,
was there a mileage limit on that?
I don't think so. I don't know, because I don't know how they
year you put down a lot of miles.
Yeah, I don't know how they would track it though, because they don't give you a new set of gauges unless they do it with the actual mileage on the motor or on what you currently had. Yeah.
Maybe they mark that. Maybe.
Maybe.
But that's good. At least, that's a good deal. It's a good deal for you and him, because that's the worst when you sell something to somebody and something like that happens and it's so out of your control.
Yeah.
But like you feel responsible.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I mean, we've been talking every day. I mean, he's a good dude. We're friends now, and I was even telling him, I was like, man. And I was joking. I was like, I'm glad it happened to you and not me on my way to Sturgis, because that would have been me. And but at the same time, you know, the Grand Junction Harley there, they've been super accommodating to him. So I wanted to give them a shout out and say thank you for taking care of my guy. Got him a rental bike, so he's out there riding around in Colorado while they're getting it all put back together and shit like that. Nice. He's making the best of a shit situation.
So are you talking about the plans for the new bike, or everybody's gonna have to wait and see?
Oh man, the new bike's it's coming together. The paint work is done. I got to polish it still. It'll be wet still when we go to Sturgis. But unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of availability on a lot of parts right now in the industry. Yeah. S&S is kind of out of cams and cam chests and stuff like that. But I got bars, shit, like I got all the basics that you need for a comfortable ride. You know
bars, seat pipe.
Yeah.
The basics.
Yeah.
Are you going to do a motor in this one?
I don't know, man. So going forward, my goal is that this is my travel bike for the next year. So my goal is to get it dialed in. I'll probably do a more extravagant paint job on it over the winter before Daytona, and then add some more parts to it, like rims and shit like that. But after Sturgis, I'm selling it. next year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'll have like 20,000 miles on it. I sell it. That way it's still a pretty fresh bike, and let someone else have it, and then I'll do it again.
So you're thinking of selling it because you, like me, think there's a new bike coming?
Well, I know there's a new bike coming. That's why I did.
There's a new bike?
Yeah, that's why. Is it
a 22 or is it a 23?
It's supposed to be a 22. So I've gotten a few tidbits of information. So basically, the frame change is coming and the liquid cooled stuff, right? So it's supposed to be January 22 for some of it. That's what I heard.
So it's gonna be like a monoshock, the new Revolution motor.
Yeah, bigger than what they have in the current Pan America and stuff. But this is through a source of mine. I mean, I hate saying things like that because the last time I got a fucking tidbit, it hasn't came to fruition yet. So, but basically, they're supposed to be 22. It's supposed to be a new frame, more performance oriented, geared towards being a competitor for the Challenger, right? So, you know, and I want it. I don't know if I want it. I just want to be ready that if I do want it, I can buy it. You know what I mean? But no matter what, from now on, I want to build a bike, put about 20 to 25,000 miles on it, and then sell it. And then do another one, ride it for the next year, then sell it. So instead of being a builder and building a bike, taking it to Sturgis in a trailer, I'll go enjoy it for a year, and then, hey, it's yours now, buddy. So instead of getting...
But you're a builder. That's what you should do. Like, and you're not talking about like, you know, let's say you found something super rare. I know you want that FXR from the year you're born. If that's something you keep forever. Yeah. But exactly. Yeah. I had somebody actually reach out to me, I don't know, a month, 2 months ago about buying my bike. And he was close. He was really close to the number, and I was asking a pretty significant number. And he was off by like $5,000. Yeah. And I said no. And I think it's more I was toying with the idea of selling my bike. Yeah. And now it's more, I think I just got to keep it to the end, like just be buried with it. It's like I say it's my 15 minutes of fame. You know, this bike, like people know the bike, and like I'm not a builder. So I had to start from scratch, and I know people will help me, but I just like anything I bought I would buy the exact same bike, and I would build it kind of the same way. So I figured I'll just keep it, and I'll wait for these new touring bikes to come out, because I'm sure they're going to come out. Everybody's going to hate them for sure. There's going to be so like the Sportster. Everybody hates Sportster. I don't mind it.
I like it. I think it's dope. Yeah. I'm excited.
I think it looks cool. It's powerful. When they compare it to the other bikes out there, it kind of hits the mark. I don't think it's going to take that much to make it look mean. Yeah. You know, and everybody's hating on the bike, but I think it's like these Sportster guys. I've owned 3 Sportsters. I love those bikes. But like everybody's hating on it. But I don't understand why. Like it's a good talk. There's still Evo motors in a Sportster. It was time for a dramatic change of that bike, in my opinion.
For sure.
You know? How many times can I see a guy on Instagram rolling in his 883 with like little straight bars, and he's got his ripped jeans and his white Vans on, like, oh, another kid in a bobber. Like it's been done a million fucking times. Let's move on. Let's build something new, build something cool. It's got power. I'm sure it's a blast to drive. Yeah.
It'll be really interesting once people get their hands on it to see how quickly the aftermarket can give people the parts to kind of give it that feel. It's the same way when the Softails first came out. Yeah. You know, it just took about a year and a half before the aftermarket caught up. And now, I mean,
I love those bikes.
They're fucking solid, man. I mean, I just painted 2 of them for Sturgis. I mean, I don't know who else. I know like Trip 6 Customs up there has been doing some sick ass ones up there in Canada. But
he sold his bagger and he bought that.
Yeah, I was on the fence for a Lowrider S when I sold the bagger though. That's originally what I was thinking about, but I mean, let's be real. It's really hard to take a step back in life.
It's the peer pressure too. It's like you go from a bagger, you go to a Softail. It's tough, especially when you know the people we know and you know the scene and everything. And because that's what I was thinking too. I remember the first time I was going to sell the bike, like get a Softail, but I was leaning towards a Fat Bob or stripped down Lowrider because the amount of shit I would do to it. There's no point in buying the Lowrider S just to take everything off. Yeah. You know, but it's a cool bike. But yeah, I'm excited to see that touring bike. I'm so, because I've been saying it for years. I think we've all been saying it for years. and I guarantee people are going to hate this thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about it. Like I think our group is probably going to be like, fuck yeah. Line them up, Kyle. Let's go. You know what I mean?
I was going to be the first one on board.
Yeah, for sure. That motherfucker. He'll probably come back to the Harley side. But think about the larger demographic of people that ride these bikes. They're not going to like it. They're not going to care. But that's why I kind of think what's going to happen is Harley's going to release it, but they're also going to keep the M8 still touring bike. It's just going to be another option or another version of the touring bikes. You know what I mean? Because if you think about it, Indian still has the air-cooled Dark Horse or whatever the fuck it's called, or the street glide looking one. But then they have the Indian Challenger, the Chieftain. That's right.
Yeah.
So they still have that, but then they have the Challenger that is the water-cooled, more advanced version of what they have to offer. So I think that's what Harley will probably end up doing to keep their current clientele happy.
Did you ride Kyle's bike?
Absolutely not. No.
You didn't want to give him the satisfaction?
No, I mean,
to get out of there.
Dude, his bike is beautiful, man. It really is. And he, one thing different between me and I think most people in our little performance bagger world is that I'm not trying to jack my bike up to the sky, and I can barely touch on Kyle's bikes. I'm too short.
Too short.
And I'm not saying that I'm fast or anything like that, but I keep the fuck up. That's all I know. So I want to be able to have control of the bike whenever I'm standing around, and I have a short inseam, so I can't really touch his bike. Standing on his bikes are just so fucking tall. I just can't touch, and I'm not into it.
I haven't tried. Well, I know I jacked up my bike this year, but I didn't do the front. I only did the back. And I'm tiptoeing everywhere. Yeah. Like I was tiptoeing before, and now I'm tiptoeing. It looks so much better. I mean, once I went mids, I never scraped my floorboards anymore.
How you like the mids though, man? I'm stoked that you did them.
Game changer.
Yeah.
Like I will never go back to a bike. Like if I buy a new, like if they change this bike, first thing I'm doing is bars, mids, seat pipe. Like it was always, bars and pipe, cleaner. Yeah. Those the first thing, seat. But mids for me, I would do that before I did suspension.
For real.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
I'm torn with this one.
You can't go back.
Yeah, so on this one, on the new one, I decided to go with Thrashin's, their more adjustable setup. That way, basically, okay, so my mids thing is I love them. They are the shit. I love them, right? But when I was selling this bike, the mids are an acquired taste for somebody, right?
Oh, really?
It's an acquired taste, and there's... I mean, you might notice if you go on any performance bagger forum that you'll see people asking about, hey, is this supposed to do this? And it's not designed to have mids on it. So everything, all the linkages and stuff, that shit wears out when you put miles on it. So
yeah, you got to adjust it.
Yeah. So there's certain things that that I hope that technology kind of catches up with it. You know what I mean? Like we start getting to a point where, version 2 of the Dropkick Customs mids or Speed Merchant. I hope they start investing more time and more feedback from it, because that's the one thing about like our scene now. I mean, this is our third podcast we've done together. Not the third. You've been on many other ones, but this is the third one we've done over the last, going pretty much 3 years, right? So
yeah, once a year.
As we've kind of started, we've seen this scene progress and stuff like that. And now this Bagger Racing League thing, which we all know is going to help bring more advanced parts to us for these bikes. I still think that these companies need to focus on the guys that are traveling, like myself and Steve and the 2-Lane Life guys and stuff like that, because the other feedback that I don't think that a lot of these big companies are taking into account is how do these parts work after 10,000 miles? You know what I mean? Is it a 10,000 mile part or?
But I find I'm always impressed when I have a part. It's happened to me twice. My mid controls and my drive, my chain links. So my alloy art rear, they redesigned the link, the sprocket.
Okay.
Sprocket? No.
Yeah, the Cush Drive setup.
Yeah, they redesigned it, and they reached out and they say, "Hey, we redesigned it. We're going to send you a new setup." I was like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like you stand behind your product, you reach out to people, you tell. And same thing with Boosted Brad. He redesigned his mids. He reached out and said, "Hey, I got a new design. We're gonna set you up."
Nice.
Like amazing. And even though my old setup worked perfectly, the new setup it's a little bit smoother. It's like, you know, when something is so perfect and then you change it, you're like, it's perfecter. Like I didn't have a problem before, but it's even the slightest bit better now. So like, and I love that. Like you innovate, you change, and you reach out to your good customer. Obviously, you're not gonna do it to everybody, and obviously, apparently, I'm an influencer. But you're gonna reach out to me and say, do something new, and you want to keep them happy. But like, I love that you're constantly trying to make your shit better, which is, like you said, it's really important because they wear out their brake. Like, how are these things gonna react after 10,000 miles? You're absolutely right. Yeah. You know, like maybe what Harley would do, what they should do if they're listening, they should offer. Like you get on a Softail, you know, like if you're buying the performance burger version of the new bagger, it'll have a kind of a pulled back mid control, like the lowriders do. Yeah. You know, and if you get the more touring one, it has front. Like they need to start doing stuff like that because I mean they used to do that. Well, I don't know if they used to do it, but they do it on certain models. They just don't think of it for us.
And I would say that they wouldn't have gave a shit until the bagger racing thing, and depending on how these two different things work and how long they stick around. Yeah. Obviously, with Harley having a stake in it now, with you know, having their riders and stuff like that, it'd be nice if some of the products they make, they give us a version of that. Maybe not the version, but maybe instead of the rear sets they made, maybe we can get the mid controls that's in between, right? It'd be nice.
I mean, that's the way the automotive industry works. Yeah. Everything comes down from F1, NASCAR, and all these racing stuff. It trickles down into like, you know, that's where all the R&D is done. So maybe, you know, Harley will have a bit of R&D now, and it'll trickle down to the people who ride and people who want to ride more aggressively. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, but I look around and now, like in the middle of nowhere, I'll be, you know, on my bike or in a car, and I'll see a guy. My wife is from an hour outside of the city, a tiny little town. And I was there like, I don't know, a month ago, and 3 guys rode by me on road glides with Tbars. One of them even did a wheelie. And I'm looking at these guys like, you guys live in the middle of nowhere.
And they found
it. And you all have, and now black road guides and T. So it's made its way across everywhere. So they must be listening. I'm sure in the book, I mean, are they selling, how many Tbars are they compared to selling apes now? It's got to be catching up, no?
I like to use Sturgis as the gauge, right? So every time we go to Sturgis, as we've kind of started to dip our toes into this performance bagger world, when I went in when we all linked up there and we were staying at the house with Spatafor Choppers and them, that year there was only a couple. Our big group had them, but then there was a couple that you would see when you would cross a couple, right? Last year, they were everywhere. Really? Like, almost like, now, I say everywhere. Now, there were still 20 to 30 sets of ape hangers before you see one set of T-bar or moto bars. But comparatively, when you're thinking about, like, where we came from, or where you might be the only dude in your city that has a set of T-bars on your bike, on your bagger. Yeah. It's a big difference, man.
Well, when I had bars on my bike 2018, I think you even had them in 2017, even longer than I did. Like every single guy who saw them, first thing, I hate those bars on your bike.
They hate them.
Why do you have motocross bars? Everybody hated on them. If I posted a picture of my bike on any, you know, road glide forum on Facebook at the time, nothing but hate. Like I remember posting a picture of my bike and literally bring on the hate fuckers, and I got banned from the page because it was just everybody hated on the bike. But it was like, and now everybody's doing it. Like I'm happy to see it because I realized how much better it is. Yeah. You know, and I tell people, when people send me a picture of their bike and it still has apes on it, I always say to people, I'm like, change your bars, it'll change your life. Because like, it's not like we're saying it, like apes is a style. Hands down is style. Your bike's not riding better like this. Let's be honest. There's no way. But T-bars will literally make you ride and feel better on your bike. More confident, more everything, more control, more confident.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing, and it sucks that, like, you know, there's been so much controversy based on like that idea, but you know, I think that me and you can both attest to the fact that all we wanted to do in our respective sides of which we promote this thing. You do it through the Instagram with the Proper Baggers page, and I do it through the podcast and my channels. And all we want to do is like show people how awesome riding bikes is with this style setup, and how it doesn't limit you in any kind of way. So
yeah, you have the best of both worlds. You literally can go ride across the country, and you can go rip the back roads. Like, there's no downside to these bikes. I mean, as long as you're a Harley fan. If you're not a Harley fan, there's a big one massive downside. It's a Harley. But I mean, as long as you like it, like I don't ride as much as I, want to be with, borders. Everything's closed. My good riding is shit. I have a baby at home. I have a pregnant wife. This year's been a tough year for me to get her on the bike. I miss riding so much. It's crazy. There was a big event here in town last week, 2 weeks ago. And like, it was a stunt show, bike show, a whole thing at a track up here. And everybody's messaging me, are you coming to the show? Are you coming to the show? And I had that day off. Like I had, I was able to get her out of the house. I'm like, fuck no. Like, I'm going riding. Like, I don't want to go to a show. I have no interest. I just want to be on my bike and ride. Like, that's the best part of these bikes. They look so good once you see it.
Once you accept,
so good. They look so good. They ride so good. You're fucking comfortable. You sit on your bike for 8 hours, 10 hours, and you get off the bike like it's nothing. Like, let's go. Where are we going out tonight? Like, you can't say that about it, The guys I know who ride sport bikes, who make fun of us, like, let's go for a ride. You might be quicker than me. Let's knock out 300-400 miles in an afternoon. Then let's get off the bike and go hang out. Like, it's not even possible. It's not fun being on those bikes. For a certain amount of time. Even the upright sport bikes, they're not fun being on them for too long. It's not enjoyable. I don't care what anybody says. You're getting beat up.
Yeah. One of the things that you kind of said at the beginning of your or what you were just saying is like the rant, the shows, right? So I was talking with somebody recently, and I can't recall who, or it might have been on a podcast, so I apologize. But the one thing that we don't really have a lot of yet, but we do now coming this Sturgis, we haven't had a lot of shows, right? So shows has not been the driving force as to why we put our bikes together this way, right? No. So yeah, you'd have the hardcore cycle show at Daytona, and now it's coming to Sturgis, which everybody's stoked for. But for the most part, it was never about the show. Nobody's building this bike to take it to a show. It was like, the V-Twin Visionary show in Smoky, so we're all going to Smokies, and then you never show up to the V-Twin Visionary show. You just go ride the fucking Smokies. So that, to me, is what has kept this thing so awesome, right? It's not a competition. It's a I want to come play, and everybody's in the same sandbox with everybody, basically. But
it's because it's based around riding. It's not based around it's based around a trend. Like, a lot of guys.
Here we go. It's happening.
Thing in your garage, or it's a showpiece. What a fucking waste of money and time. Like, it's an oxymoron to build this as a bike to sit in your garage. Like, it should be dirty. It should have miles on it. It shouldn't be clean. It should be beat up when you go up close and look at it. And that wasn't the style with choppers and big wheels and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's why it works. And I think the big thing, you probably more than anybody, is everybody helps everybody, right? Everybody's working together. If you send a DM to anybody in the scene, their chances are they're going to reply, and they're going to help you out. And nobody's keeping a secret about what kind of this they used or that they used.
Jeremy at Lucky Strike just bailed me out hardcore. So
did he?
Yeah, because right now with the Simpson helmets, like the rubber trim that we replace, they're out. So I got like 7 helmets. They're not done helmets, but they're 7 that are apart right now that I can't even touch. And I had one that had to go to Sturgis, and I couldn't get it. And then Jeremy hit me up. We were talking, and I was like, I didn't want to ask him, but I ended up asking him, and he had one. He sent it to me, just took care of it, and I'm like, fuck, thank you, saved my life, man. And so that's what I love about the scene, is it's full of people that are all in the same, career paths that all help each other, and nobody's fucking. I don't know. This is a utopia for me, and maybe. I'm so hell-bent on keeping it that way that it comes off bullyish to certain people that don't kind of abide by the standards. And I don't mean to, I'm just protective of something like this because I love it. And I feel like we've had a hand in shaping it this way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, I hear you, and I've said that about you to probably Kyle or somebody. Like I said, like Jace is the gatekeeper. He's got strong opinions about the way things should be, and you're like the gatekeeper for us all. Like you kind of like, it's like you're protecting us from the shit out there in a way. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess because of the podcast and because you have strong opinion, you know, like you come to everybody's defense, and you're always like, you know, you stand for what you always like. It's hard to explain. I'm sure you know what I mean, but
yeah,
you always come to the side, like be respectful of where this shit came from, where it started, be respectful to the scene, and ride the fucking bike.
Yeah.
Like just that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that you know, it's awesome to be respected by guys like yourself and my peers, my friends. Mm-hmm. But for the people that aren't like a part of this or in the mix, like it comes off as I guess you would say it probably seems like put like this. I think this air quotes club that we have is easy to get in. You just got to show up.
Very easy to get in.
You know,
just
but
show and say what's up.
When people try to come in and they try to bring that energy from other bike scenes that didn't work, that died, you know, like one thing, like if I haven't spoke with Shope since the last time we did a podcast together. Where, you know, the dude was kind of like trying to figure out where to put his kind of mind on bikes. And obviously in 28 or 19, when I did a podcast with him, it was like, you know, we're doing performance baggers. He started making parts, and I like the dude. I really do. But I didn't like the way he came into this scene trying to promote his products. And I'm like, yo, there's no need to do that. There's no need to be that way. First off,
coming and putting down other shit.
Yeah. First off,
don't throw people under the bus.
Anybody that wants to come into the scene, you need to build a fucking bike first. Don't build parts and not for a bike that you actually have. So don't make a part and say, hey, this is for your performance bagger, but you're still riding other style of bikes. Like that's called vultures.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're trying to live off of us while you don't give a fuck about it, right? I don't like that, man. I think that you know.
No, I never even thought about that, but that's such a good point. I literally never even thought about it. I didn't like when I was a big wheel guy, he was like one of the coolest guys out there. And like, you're right, the way he tried to come in the scene by trash talking so many people and do this and his ideas. I'm not going to say anything about anything. I have nothing bad to say about anybody, but I agree with you. The way he came in, but he's not coming in on a killer bike. He didn't build a killer bike.
Yeah.
And say, okay, let's try this. Let's do this. You know, I'm starting to appreciate. It was like, oh, you guys are doing this, so here's a couple parts for you to make you guys happy, even though
you don't care.
I don't agree.
Yeah. He doesn't care. I mean, if you cared, you would have built a bike, right? You would have built one to use the parts that you actually created, or let's back up, that you actually tried to help sell for somebody else. So I will give a shout out. I've always said that DA Performance is a shop that I've always had respect for, and they've been trying to, I'm not gonna say try, they've been building bikes. And even if some of the bikes they build, they put like, it's a mixture of the performance bagger, the fat tire, all this stuff together, I still appreciate that. I think it's dope.
I was going to mention that too. Like, you know, these are big wheel gods. These guys still put together a big wheel, and I still look at it today going, wow, that thing is crazy. Yeah. And their personal bikes are all performance baggers.
Exactly.
Yeah, both of their bikes.
I was going to say that, yeah.
He sends me pictures all the time of his bikes. I'm like, that thing is crazy.
Dude, I love his bike. Chuck's bike is sick, dude. It's simple, clean, but fucks hard, dude.
Yeah. And he's told me in person, he's like, if I could make money selling these bikes, I would, but they don't pay the bills. So they do both. But they're not trying to come out and say, you know, we do this. But they're real, but they're bike builders. They're ripping it apart. They're putting it back up. They're, you know, there's a lot of people, like, you know, you always say you're not a builder. You're a builder to me for sure. But these guys are like builder, like
on a higher level than I could ever be.
Higher level. They're stripping it down to nothing and putting it all back together. And they're doing little touches, you know, stainless steel frames and stuff like that on bikes they build. Like, they're really, really put together wild bikes. But yeah, they paid respect to the scene as they got into it.
Yeah.
And I think that's always what it comes down to.
I hate to be a little arrogant here, but I feel like maybe it's because I know Chuck listens to the podcast, and I think he might have took some pointers. But I love those dudes, man. I spent a whole 5 years, alongside them in the industry with big wheel bagger stuff, and never really got a chance to meet those guys or understand them. And honestly, I didn't know them and didn't like them. You know what I mean? Because I thought that they were somebody they're not. And once I got to meet them, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, these dudes are solid. But you know how it is. Like when I was riding big wheels, I was traveling and riding them, and I despised every guy that had a fucking trailer. It was a very adolescent thing for me to do.
And everybody had a trailer in that scene.
Exactly.
Nobody rode those bikes.
So
nobody.
That's the thing about this one, right? So obviously there's bigger brands, there's bigger shops that, Sturgis is a business for them, right? They have to go there and they have to be a business. But one thing I really liked seeing this year, I want to touch on a couple shops that I think have been kind of coming up that I want to show some love in this podcast. But
sure.
I was really interested when Curtis was like, I want to ride to the Bagger Race League, right? And so Clockworks, all those dudes, they put on this ride to go there, and they invited, Curtis reached out and invited me to come, and we were just coming back from Maine, right? So, but that's still the thing that I think that people don't realize how much can save them, the business people, the industry guys, how much it can save them and make them fall back in love with motorcycles if they get out there and put miles on them,
I think what happens is work gets in the way of the love for the riding, and I can speak for Curtis because he's a good friend and I speak to him all the time, and I know that he works so much. I spoke to him yesterday. He's been in the shop at 5 o'clock in the morning for the last couple weeks, just trying to catch up as much as he can. He can't catch up, and he's appreciative of his work, and he wants to ride, but you can't get out. You literally can never get out on a bike, and I'll speak to him like, he's like, oh, I got out. Yes. I'm like, holy shit, you got out on a bike. He's like, man, I had to. He can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So like, I feel for guys like that are so under the gun. But yeah, like, I mean, I get it. Like, you have to ride to appreciate what we do, the scene that we're in. Like, and I think sometimes life gets in the way and you forget.
Yeah.
Life gets in the way, and next thing you know, a month goes by, you haven't touched the bike in a month. It's like, holy fuck. And you get on your back, like, fuck. Like, life gets in the way. You're lucky. Your kids are older. You don't have, you're able to get away.
Yeah.
I'm fucked for a while.
it is a, there is that, but like, I mean, that's one of the things, like with a lot of these brands that are, they live so heavily off of their, selling products. I mean, Hoffman, to show him a little love real quick, he's dealing with the shortages of everybody. Everybody's dealing with shortages across the industry, right? But, and then you got the shortages he's dealing with, and he's still trying to keep things going. And so it's like most of the people that are probably coming at him are probably, irate, like they're angry or they're whatever. And it's so like that absorbs into him. And the only way you can really release that and still stay in love with motorcycles is to ride one. Be like, all right,
100%.
I get it too, man. Trust me, I get it. And fortunately, I didn't get popular the way that I got popular recently comparatively to Hoffman and DA. So I got to structure my business a lot differently so that I could always ride. Right?
Yeah.
I didn't set it up to where like, okay, well, I can never leave now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I couldn't do.
You're an artist too. They're paying for you. Yeah. They're not paying for a product. I mean, they're paying for a product you make, which is paint, but they're paying for you and your skill, and you have to physically do it with your own hands. Yeah. You don't have an item you sell off a shelf. You don't have a website. You can't do that. Yeah. So the people are, if they want a piece of you, which is what they're getting, they have to wait for it. And you can pick and choose the jobs you want. And, when you're too slammed, you raise your prices a little bit, and you pick and choose the work. I'm not saying you do, but I'm just saying like, so, and like you said, because this is you've made your business this way, you're like, this is the way I run my business. This is what it is. You want this, it's this timeline. And that's it, I was talking to Curtis recently, and he was, he has a lot of customers who call and yell at him, and like you said, he's dealing with shortages of material and resin. Can't get resin, like the most ridiculous things ever, and he's dealing with shortages. And he gets people who call him, and you know, he was when I ordered my carbon parts from him in 2018, they were on the shelf.
Yeah.
You know, I ordered them, they shipped within days.
Yeah.
You know, and now that the trend is so big and popular, and it's not like a fiberglass mold where you're just popping them out.
Yeah, they're vacuum bagged and all that
selling
shit.
it.
It's complicated.
Yeah. One blemish, it's scrapped. You know what I mean? His blem rate is super high. So I feel for his. I feel for him. You know, and he's doing everything he can to get it out the door quicker. You know, without, you know, it's still a business. You still have to run it properly like a business. You know, but I know he's doing his best. He's making moves to be able to produce much quicker. Yeah. But then you deal with like still a trend. So how much do you want to invest into something that the bottom could drop out in a certain amount of years? You know. Yeah,
I mean,
it's a gamble.
You don't want to like overbuild your production to where you can take the demand now and then the bottom falls out. That wouldn't be wise. But I think that he's doing it right. I mean, you just gotta, you know, I think that I get a little bit more of a pass because I have a longer relationship with my customer base. Like, if someone's working with me, we're in a relationship for a while, right? As opposed to like Hoffman, you know, or a lot of brands that are selling a product, you might just go to their website and your relationship is click buy. You know what I mean?
But it's an Amazon world.
Yeah.
Right? You're used to going on Amazon, you click buy. Okay, well, if you paid for it, you think it's going to show up in the mail.
Yeah.
A week, 2 weeks later. It doesn't work like that. You know, these are still custom made motorcycle parts. Yeah. And there's still back orders and stuff like that. So I think the Amazon world changed the way people see things. You know, like if I order a part, I order it, I forget about it. Yeah. That's really how I did. Like when it shows up, it shows up. I get that people are dealing with shit. But I think a lot of people don't think that way. Yeah. And you know, and you and I have been doing this long enough to know that if you're spending $2,000-$3,000 on a part, it doesn't mean it's going to be here tomorrow. That's kind of this. The scene is so expensive. But somebody new to the scene might get into it and say, "Okay, order this part. Drop $3,000 on this part. Why am I waiting so long?"
So those people that put so much emphasis on the parts, that is the different thing about this scene as opposed to everyone before, is that you don't like need any of that shit to come out and ride your bike and be a part of things. And you know, just because the bars aren't available and you can't get them on your bike yet doesn't mean you can't go hang out at the bike night or go ride with the homies, right? So the thing is, like, that's the one thing is like there's so many people, and I'm not saying this like I get it. If I probably was this way too, but there's so many people that put so much emphasis on making their bike cool that they don't realize that you got to be cool too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
for sure. But it's like you said best, like, you know, anybody listening to this scene, like, you know, some people have complained that we're a bit cliquey in our scene, but I think the only reason they would ever say that is because they've never actually tried to talk to one of us, or they've never DM'd with somebody or spoke to anybody where like everybody is so cool. And like you said, it doesn't take anything to be accepted by everybody. Just come say what's up.
Just show
Have
up
fun.
and
Let
do
us bust
stuff,
your balls,
man.
bust our balls. Like, you know, make fun of somebody. That's all it takes. We're all fucking, you know, motorcycle nerds from everywhere. None of us are like superstars. We're literally a group of hundreds of guys all over the world. Yeah. You know, and like that's really all it is. So like that's the coolest thing about the scene is everybody's welcome. You know, everybody's welcome. We don't care where you are, who you are, where you're from. Have a bike and ride with us. That's it. Yeah. You know, and it doesn't even have to be performance bike. Just ride with us. We don't give a shit what
George rides with us, and he's got a soft tail with fucking ape hangers on it.
Soft tail George. No, he's got Tbars.
Oh, he's got Tbars on it now?
I put a Memphis Shades fairing on the bike. It's fucking hysterical. And I switched him to a Simpson, and he's literally getting air right here. So every time he rides, all he does is complain about the fucking wind right here. Yeah. It's the funniest thing ever. I'm not letting him take the fairing off. I'm like, no, you're going to take the beating because the bike looks good and you ride a stupid. I told him, like, the problem isn't the fairing. The problem isn't the helmet. The problem is the fucking bike. Yeah. I'm like, the problem is the bike. It's the soft tail. I'm like, either, you know, get on a touring bike if you want a touring bike. But
yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, there's just been such of, there's been such a like, so many people coming into it this year. Like it felt like someone just opened the floodgates to the performance bagger world. I mean, which I love. I love it. I'm stoked about it because we've gotten nicer parts. You know, Ness has been dropping some new parts. There's, you know, a lot of other brands have been coming out.
Did you see those Ness? I think I'm gonna do a plug to Ness. The cowbell covers he did.
Got them downstairs with the lowers.
Bike.
Yeah.
Fucking, I saw that on a bike from, I think, MTS.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I literally thought, that's something I would do instead of inverted front end.
Sorry, I
cut you off.
No, you're good.
Blown away by that part.
But it's a good tangent though, because when I was at Ness and they showed me all the shit that they're doing, I've always had massive respect for that family and what they've done for the motorcycle custom industry. But to go there and be reassured that they give a fuck was awesome, right? Yeah. So they showed me all the products that they're working on. They showed me the products that was in process. You know, they've been waiting on shipments just like everybody else to get them. And they paid attention to what's going on, and they made usable products. So they have new lowers, and that's what I got now is the new lowers that has a fork brace built into the actual fork lowers, right?
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it's like billet lowers, like what their old ones were, but they have a fork brace that bolts onto it. And then the new cowbells, like you were just speaking of, it has the cover for the front side so that so that your fork tubes aren't taking a beating from rocks and bugs, but exposes the outside. So for you guys out there that are doing like black fork tubes or gold fork tubes, like you can expose that. And so, and they're also coming out with their own fork tubes with the colors and things like that. So they're paying attention, and you know, honestly, these products, like they have a lot of products that would have already been out on the market had it not been for the COVID type shit. So they're on it.
There's a lot of it's like guys like us think we've seen everything and nobody's gonna come out with a new part, and then I see something like that, and like it's like a light bulb. Like it's like, how the fuck did somebody not make that sooner? Yeah. It's such a simple part that really like changes the way you see. For me, it changed the way I see a regular Harley front end.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that simple of a design.
I've always been more of a traditional Harley front end guy personally. Like I've always enjoyed that look over the inverted. Not that the inverted don't look good, but I just like the beefiness of a stock front end. You know what I mean? And you know, that you could also say that's my cop out for I can't afford an inverted front end.
No, I think if you wanted it, you would have had it by now. I have no doubt about that.
But you know, I love that. I love the fact that when you pull up to places, it appeals to the people that aren't used to seeing this stuff, right? Yeah. And so, I mean, the most annoying thing ever for anybody that has Ohlins hanging out the back of the bike is, what are those? Is that nitrous? You know.
But I'm seeing them a lot more. Like I'll see a guy with apes and Ohlins on the back. Yeah. I think guys like that are doing it more for the flex, and they see it and they're like, that's cool, so that's why they're doing it. Yeah. But I'm definitely seeing it more and more and more, and a lot of bikes have whatchamacallit, external reservoirs on them. So you see it a lot, but it's I don't know. I was thinking about I don't know. What do you think about the twin tube thing?
I haven't looked into it much. I'll be honest with you. I'm actually going to do Legends on this bike. Okay. You want to know why?
But I'm not surprised.
You want to know why? There's two reasons why. For one, when I watched the Bagger Race League, there wasn't a suspension holdback, right? There was people out there with Legends that were in better positions than people with Olin. So it wasn't like that was the thing holding somebody back. I love the Olin's look, and I love the way that has become the go-to part in our industry. I do not like the fact that Olin's acts like that doesn't exist. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like, I think that Legends...
With the redheaded stepchild.
Yeah, so here's let me I'm gonna try to paint this picture so it doesn't sound stupid, right? I've never ridden Legends, so I'm gonna ride it, and if I don't like it, I've already told them, like, look, it's coming back to you. You know, I'm not running it. I'm not gonna say anything bad about it. I'm just like, I won't run it. Period.
Gonna try. Yeah.
Right. But I'm also not like
now
Steve.
That you said it on your podcast, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, people would know. I mean, I've always said, like, I don't do reviews. If you don't see it on my bike anymore, then just know that something's not right. So, or something's not right for me. right? It doesn't mean that the product's bad.
Yeah, for you.
But the thing is with Öhlins, in my opinion, is that they are a great and superior product, but they don't acknowledge the fact that we exist. They don't acknowledge the fact that, you know, they not that this is a bad thing for certain brands, but a brand should not rely on the guys like Big Bear, MJK, Kraus, and them to do all their marketing and all their shit for them. Yeah. They should be they should be putting some kind of effort into creating something around their stuff. So to me, it's like you're okay with selling to this industry, but you're not okay with putting back into it in any kind of way, right?
Fair. Yeah,
and so that's my personal opinion side that has nothing to do with the product, right? Which I would like them to open up and do more for our scene and stuff like that, but you know, but Legends does. Legends helps with the Bell Brawl. Legend helps out with the Bagger Racing League. Legend helps out with so many other people, so they put back into the industry, right? And so I want to ride it and see if it can handle my needs as a traveling guy that wants to rip corners. I'm not, you know, that was the hardest thing. That was the hardest decision to make, because I've definitely been vocal about like, hey, just fucking go Öhlins. You know what I mean? So I'm trying not to put my foot in my mouth 100%, but you know.
But also, if you're building a new bike, you might as well try new shit. And I don't.
I'm trying a lot of new shit on this bike.
But that's a good thing. Like, why would you build the exact same thing? Like, you want to build kind of the opposite of what you built last time. Like, so if you had Öhlins, you're gonna go Legends. Like, you know, that makes perfect sense to me. So you know, and whether people run Öhlins, Legends, to me, it doesn't, you know,
it doesn't make
really
a difference.
Change anything for me. No, like, and I don't tell people I'm like I run Öhlins, but my answer is usually I run Big Bear suspension, because, you know, Kevin's buying it and building it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like you could buy an off the part shelf. He doesn't sell anything off the shelf. Everything he sells is rebuilt by him. Yeah. You know, I'm a true believer in him.
Yeah.
And that's why I run Öhlins, but I don't run Öhlins because of, well, I mean, you know, it's a flex, I get it. But I mean, still, I run it because I have faith in him.
Yeah. I like how it's became a style, that everybody acts like performance baggers are not a style. That was an argument that went around for a while, but it is a style. It is a look. It is a vibe. But yeah, I mean, I still, dude, it's a tough swallow, because that flex of Öhlins hanging out the back is forever going to be the flag of performance bagger.
You're going to be sitting at Sturgis on your bike, and a guy going to pull up next to you, all Öhlins out, and you're going to be like, is it going to fuck with you?
No, I think that I'm, you, like you said, you kind of prefaced it already. I'm doing a lot of things different. So I've always been a fan of solid Tbars, not bar and risers. So I'm doing that now, bar and risers.
Bar and risers.
Not that it's a big difference. Lucky Dave's.
Okay.
So I'm, you know, my thing with Dave and that brand, I'm friends with that guy. Like, I've sat down with his kids and his wife at dinner. You know what I mean? So, you know, I don't, you know, to be completely honest with you, it, like, for me, that's enough. Like, if you were Lucky Dave, I would be doing your shit, because we're friends, and that's why I fuck with him. Yep. But I've always liked his products. I'm doing that, and then on Clockworks, instead, I've always done the shortest windshield for the looks, but I'm actually trying a taller one this time, just to get the experience.
What size are you gonna run?
9, I think.
Yeah, that's what I run. A 9.
Yeah. So it covers.
I'm tempted to try a really tall one.
Well,
for big road trips.
I was hoping that the 9 would be enough for big road trips, but the 6 has always been fine, because I like being able to see the top of the fairing, the paint wise. But this whole attempt is basically to just try some different shit. Like you said, you know, I want to try a different vibe. The thrash and floorboards, that was another thing I wanted to try, that because they have the ability to pull the brake pedal further back, and then the everything. So I want to get more of that mid control feel, but when it is time to sell it, you know, I promise all my sponsors a year of running the bike on the road, you know, photos, all the shit that'll come with it. And then after that, like, my obligation with them is up. So, you know, I want to try the floorboards, and, you know, I'll do that for the next year. I've ran floorboards forever. I just got lucky with the mid controls, you know?
Yeah.
But
that makes sense. I mean, I always say when I run a part, when I'm thinking about what I want to do, I consider two things. I consider, do I like the company and do I like the owners?
Yeah.
And do I like the part? But
Yeah.
it's just as important. I have to like the people who stand behind the part as much as I like the actual part for me to run. But that might not be for everybody, but people like you and I who know these people and talk to these people, it's so important, because if a guy's a fucking asshole, I'm not running his part. I don't care how nice it is.
Yeah, because when you so like you said before, and I know that maybe some listeners might be like gagging themselves when we say things like, hey, look, we are influencers and brand ambassadors for products.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, but it's very beneficial for me to do that, so you guys can fuck off. But the thing is,
we can talk without having to say, without apologizing it.
Yeah.
For this conversation, we'll apologize in advance.
Yeah.
For talking like influencers, but we can have like a frank conversation.
Exactly. Yeah. So the thing is that when you're in the world of people care about your opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then your opinion also has to reflect the people that they're going to buy it from. And so when those people are, assholes, they don't do their job right, they don't run their business correctly, that reflects on our endorsement of them, right? Mm-hmm. And so that it means a lot more. So like, I can't tell you how many people over the years have known about me and your drama with a certain somebody who always come up and go, yeah, I don't like the way he is, but he makes great parts. And I'm like, well, for me in my world, I can't endorse who he is and how he acts as if his parts make up for that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
absolutely. Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. And any part on my bike is, especially these days, is a part that comes from somebody I truly stand behind. If a parts manufacturer, there's a couple things I won't stand behind. So I won't stand behind a company where you can't pick up the phone and call the dude that's making your part. That's important to me. And anybody should be able to call the dude who's making his part, because none of these bike shops are big. You know that, they're all small. So if you're not out there in front promoting your brand, well, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You hear me?
Okay. Something happened. My screen just went blank. But if you can't call the shop and get somebody on the phone because you're having an issue, that's a problem. Mm-hmm. And they should be good people who shoot the shit to you, talk to the clients. So that's a really big thing for me, and it's super important that people, like, I don't know, good people. That's really I feel very strongly about supporting good people, and that's really it. Like, yeah, the parts have to be. I'm not saying the parts don't have to be the best of the best. They do, but there's a lot of options out there right now in parts. Yeah. So if you find a part you want, and then customer service. I guess customer service is a huge thing, because people aren't going to get the treatment that you and I get treated. But if you're just a general guy and you want to buy a part and there's a handful of parts, call the shop, talk to the guys, talk to the owners. Like, shoot the shit with people. See if they respond to your DMs. Like that. That's an important thing to me. That's very important. Like customer service. You're in customer service. You know what I mean? You're dealing with your customers. You're making sure your customers are happy. It's customer service. I'm in customer service. We all have to be. So if you're not standing out there, like standing right in front of your part saying, this is what I do, this is why you should buy my product, I can't stand behind that, Yeah. So, and I hear what you're saying. People say, I run this part, but the guy's a dick. Like, fuck that. Fuck these guys.
Yeah, there's plenty other people around and brands to promote, and maybe if you promote those other brands, I mean, the other thing that I think people don't realize is that, like, for most people, these bikes that we do, it's not a one and done thing, right? It's just a now, right? Now we're building this bike, but I don't live the life where I look at a bike where, okay, this is the bike I'm having for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like, let's be real.
Don't you love it when people say to you, like, you do a bunch of shit to your bike, they're like, okay, are you done now?
Yeah.
What kind of ridiculous question is that? Am I done now? No.
Yeah, until I can afford more shit. Yeah.
Yeah, like, no, like, people say that to me, like, what's left? I'm like, well, there's nothing left, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to change the whole thing. Like, there's new parts, there's new cool shit to try. Like, keep trying it, keep changing it.
That's one of the differences between performance baggers, or I hate saying that word now. It's starting to get tainted, if you will. That's the one thing I like. For now, I'm going to refer to it as the style of bikes that we ride. That's the style of bikes that we ride.
You don't have to say it. Yeah.
That's what I like about them is because it's not like something that we're building and then we get to just like fucking say it's done. It's like it's ready. That's the word I use. It's ready to go to Sturgis. It's ready for Daytona. It's ready for this trip.
Somebody might come out with a new bar and riser setup that's like, holy fuck, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, I want to try that.
You put it on your bike, and if it makes it ride better, it did its job. It's that simple.
Yeah.
You know, so I very much agree with that, and I think that's the coolest thing about our scene.
Yeah, man. It's don't get me wrong, man. Like I've been dancing around my words when it comes to the Northeast trip that we took with all the homies. And I didn't enjoy it the way I enjoy going west because the west has a lot more open roads and like more like, no, I don't know, like more cowboy-esque riding like into the next town shit. But
we have a lot of big open roads, big open stretches of road, big open scenery. You don't have that in the Northeast.
Yeah. But to be fair, and I've said this a million times, and I'm sorry if you heard it, but the people up Northeast, man, like these dudes are just some of the most solid people, man. And they make up for the lack of open, stretched out roads. And and the amount
especially guys on motorcycles, they appreciate if you're anywhere north where you're riding 6 months a year, you know, or you live in winter, you appreciate riding so much more. You appreciate the guys who ride. It's way more of an exclusive club than if you live somewhere where everybody rides all the time.
And I'm starting to understand that now. I'm understanding the mentality behind Daytona. I'm understanding the mentality behind so many different aspects of that demographic of rider, right? Or that regional rider, right? I understand why these certain events take place whenever I never could before, right? I had a hard time understanding Daytona until I started to understand why Daytona is big, right? Because of the Northeast. Yeah. And so, you know, these dudes that were just, you know, the other thing is like these guys, they fucking lay down miles, man. Like I want to say there was at least 4 or 5 dudes on our trip that put at least 300 miles down to come hang out with us somewhere or ride with us for a while. 300 miles. Like, to me, that's like saying, like, I'm in Dallas, so that's like saying, hey, somebody's rolling through Little Rock, Arkansas right now. I'm going to run up there real quick, 6-hour ride to go, you know, put some miles with them going further than my house. And then I'm going to turn back around and come back. And I'm like, these motherfuckers ride up here, dude. Like, there's no... Yeah. They get locked in for a while and they can't get out, but they fucking go hard up there. You know what I mean?
It sucks. Yeah, it really, really does suck. And you get out at the beginning of the year. It's like, and every ride, like to me, you cherish every ride. Yeah. Because it's not a year-long thing. Like you get 6, depending on where you live, you know, anywhere that gets a bit of snow, you get 6 months of riding. Yeah. You know, and you have to appreciate that because especially come September hits, you're like, this could be my last. This could be my last. This, you know, September, October. It's like, are these the last few rides? You really, really appreciate it. I know what you mean. Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't mean I'm not jealous. I'm super fucking jealous of you guys who could ride all the time.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like a perfection of if this podcast, if our brand, everything wasn't based where it was, and we weren't able to keep the fucking fire going all winter long for all the up north guys. Yeah. If guys like Craig wasn't around and we weren't doing shit all year, like I think that like so many people up north kind of are what this performance or our bikes, our style of bikes are. Yeah. Yeah. But some of us take the torch and we carry it through the winter for you guys. You know what I mean? We keep the actual really on the ground thing going so that it's there. I
literally said to people that your podcast, like, is one of the things that gets me through the winter. Like, you don't ride, but at least I can listen to the podcast. I can listen to people talk about bikes, and at least I feel like I don't feel like I'm riding, but I feel at least a little connected. Closer to it. Yeah. Yeah, like I can work on my bike, you know, take my bike apart every winter, which is what I do, put it back together, and like I listen to the podcast. I feel connected to the scene because you literally go 6 months without. You could park it in a closet and not look at it for 6 months, and so you really you need that. You need it. So thank you. So tell me, I've heard you say that your podcast now for motorcycle podcast one of the number 1 shows.
in the Harley Davidson space.
Okay.
I want to. So it's not. It's probably in the Harley Davidson space is probably number one, but it kind of the podcast charts they fluctuate. They're like the Billboard charts of like music and shit like that, right? Mm-hmm. So one day you're number 9, next day you're number 28, next day you're fucking number 1. It's weird, but the only other podcasts that's motorcycle based, I think that stays close to us is the Revzilla podcast, which is like high side, low side, which I think that's kind of more of an encompassing all motorcycles.
It's not just Harley.
It's not just Harley. And then I think the only other one that's close is Adventure Rider Radio, but I think that's more adventure bikes. I mean, it
that's
fluctuates.
That's, I mean, considering where you started and you're here, like that's an amazing thing to say. Like, you should be really proud of that. Like, it's super cool.
I'm proud of my consistency. That's what I'm proud of. I'm not proud of the fact that I think that I'm so badass at this that everybody listens to it.
I don't mean.
I'm like
you're allowed to. Allowed to be to sit back and say I'm proud of what I've accomplished without it giving you a big head. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to feel bad. And I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. Like, I've just known you for a long time, and I've done a few of these. Like it's cool to say that. Like, that you do so. Well with you work a ton at this. You do. So, I'm sure this is. I can't imagine how much work this show is.
It is.
And like. To think of how much extra time, and just to say I'm going to do one a week, I'm sure is so much extra work from outside of life. Like, I don't think people realize how much work this probably is.
I mean, it is, and the fortunate thing is that people can listen to it over the time, and it pays bills now. Though that's the good thing about it is it helps pay bills.
Should.
And I mean, there was a time when I was like begging for everybody to just Patreon or fucking something, man. But now it's like it's pretty consistent, so I can focus less on the financial side of it and focus more on the content and getting people on and being mentally ready to have a conversation with them. And like when I feel like I've had a bad podcast, man, I take that shit like I just did a bad paint job. Like somebody just took home a bad paint job, and so. There's
but
a
every
lot.
podcast isn't going to appeal to everybody.
Yeah, it's not going to appeal to everybody.
To you.
And obviously, when you're, we do a minimum of 5 a month, right? So that's more than one a week in a sense.
It's a lot.
And to do so, it requires like I have to stay connected to a lot of different areas of the industry because I don't always know, like we did one with Jacob Conrad earlier this month that was building a bike for the People's Champ for Born Free. Like that's not really my bike scene right now in a sense, but I have to stay connected and understanding with that to know how that works and to have that conversation. Or, like finding, you want to be able to be the guy that finds a couple gems in the fucking, in the mountain basically. Yeah. Where you bring people to the light that have this amazing story, right? Well, to do that, you have to be out there, Yeah,
but that's what I mean. You have to research it. And everybody who's coming on, you have to figure out who they are, where they are, what they're doing. And I'm sure you're constantly looking for people.
We are. And there's a lot of people that are always constantly telling me about some fucking dude that's, that has a great story, but it, honestly, man, the people have to appeal to me. You know what I mean? Like if you told me, hey, man, this dude's fucking, he's an amazing guy. You know what I mean? Like until it appeals to me, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like I have to sit down and talk to this guy and peel out layers of this guy's personality to hopefully get down in there and find out what's real about him. But I mean, it's just a process, man. Like it's dope. It's badass. I mean, I've had the opportunity to sit down and do podcasts in places where, as a fan of motorcycle customized industry or the motorcycle custom industry, like, dude, I'm privileged as fuck. You know what I mean? Like, but secondly, like, I don't know, man, like my life is very complicated, but it's very rewarding, if you will. You know what I mean? Like I'm very grateful for all the opportunities I get. And And I look at those opportunities like if I'm gonna get this chance, I need to fucking try to hit a home run every time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But like just the fact that you appreciate, that's all you gotta do. If you could appreciate your success, that's the biggest thing. Like to be able to stand back, and not in a conceited, arrogant way, but just to stand back and appreciate what you've done and appreciate the people you get to speak to and appreciate it. Like that's, a lot of people do things and they don't stand back and appreciate what they've done. To look around, to stop and, stop and smell the roses and say like, whether you've made money financially, not financially, whether it's a burden, whatever it is, just like step back and say, holy fuck, like, what I've created is something that I'm proud of. That's what I was saying before. And that's you're leaving a legacy. You know what I mean? These podcasts will be there forever. People can listen to them as long as they can, and we're all going to die, but this shit's going to live forever.
The crazy thing is like when you see those T-shirts and those brands out there that use the phrase "stay humble," I never really I understood it, but I never really understood how important it was. And I'm not perfect at that. I'm not, you know what I mean? Because to me, I find myself battling that humbleness a lot. It's not because I want to be something, or I want to be cocky or arrogant or confident or overly confident or any of those type of things, right? But you just get into a place where like, you have to have a little bit of confidence to like, let's just put it like this: a brand that wants to work with me and I want to work with them. I want to do I want to run their products, but I also want to do a podcast because I think they have, I'd love to hear the backstory, but the owner, the main guy, doesn't have the time to do the podcast. Right. And I'm like, well, I don't want the guy that you trained to talk for you. I want to hear your story of why you decided to do this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so when I'm talking to the marketing lady at this company, I feel very cocky and arrogant telling her that's not good enough. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, or like when I'm,
but you just know your worth. Like I get what you know your worth, and you know what
I want to know my worth.
If you did a podcast with some company, but you had the owner's assistant or just a dude who works there, it's not genuine. You don't get a story. That's not like, you know what I mean? Like you want to speak to the guy who started the company. You want the story. Yeah. You don't care about the fluff. You're not there to promote his product. It's not a sales pitch. You know what I mean? It's not advertising for him. You want to know the story behind it. That's the interesting. That's why people can listen to podcasts with somebody that you've never met, you've never heard of. I listen to your podcast sometimes, and it's somebody I've never even heard of them. When it starts, I listen. I'm like, okay, I have to go look at their Instagram page to see who they are. I'm like, okay, and I listen, and they're great fucking podcasts. Somebody I've never heard of before. Yeah, it's the story, the adventure, the story, how they got there.
I think that like for a lot of people in the industry, like I bring you on. Everybody wants to hear proper baggers because a lot of our industry now is social media driven, right? And a lot of people just got on bikes within the last 4 or 5 years, and you're a brand that has resonated with them over years. But when we do a podcast with Burt Baker and the Baker Drivetrain, most people are like, I don't follow them. I don't know who they are. I don't really care. But until you fall in love with motorcycles like some of us have, you don't understand how important that podcast is to hear about how he's got into being the transmission guy for the last 20-something years of our industry, you know? So there's
I can agree with you more.
There's that aspect where you're trying to educate new people in the industry, to show respect and love to these guys that kind of laid the fucking foundation for us to do what we do now. But it's also like, I think anything going forward is always about paying respect to the dudes that fucking do it, but also doing it the way that it's like parenting, right? Well, my parents, I think they could have been better here, so I'm going to do this for my kid. Well, this industry, I look at it as my kid, right? I looked at how everybody else treated it and how everybody else dealt with it. And I'm like, well, I don't want to just like let that be somebody else's problem. I would rather be the bad guy to speak my mind about something than to let people come in and ruin something that I actually love doing. You know what I mean? It's not about money. It's like don't want a bunch of cunts running around fucking watering down what
100%.
it is, you know?
But that's why you're at, how many podcasts you at now?
This is 217.
That's what I mean. Like, how many people get to 217 in a podcast? You don't see it a lot. You do this because you love it. You're not doing this for, like, maybe now there's a financial gain, but I bet 180 of them, there wasn't very much financial gain.
It wasn't.
You know, and like, you do it because you love it, and you never gave up on it.
The byproduct of this podcast has been partly this scene, this group of people, this connection between a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like your Instagram page is definitely the same boat where it was a connection between a lot of different people finding out about each other, because I found a lot of people through your page. But the same thing with this podcast, talking different people in different areas, and next thing you know, you get a Big Trouble coming out of nowhere. You get a fucking Ben Mace coming out of nowhere. You get a lot of dudes. The Steve Chamberlain, OG. You know what I mean? I don't know if we're allowed to say that. Yeah,
he's my model.
So you get these dudes that, like, they either came through the podcast or they came through the, like through your Instagram channel, and it helps kind of shape the groups that we have. Like there's still a lot of dudes that I haven't had a chance to do podcasts with that I love, like RG Destroyer, Outcast Culture, Spatafor Choppers. We've hung out plenty of times and never got a chance to do it.
I've said this time, you got to get Will on this thing.
Yeah.
He's the funniest person in the world.
Definitely. One of the OG motherfuckers.
Super OG. Yeah, he 2015.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These guys are really OG, but they're low key guys.
Yeah.
And then I think they've been doing it so long that it's just normal to them, and they're such good guys.
Yeah.
I miss those guys a lot.
I'm stoked that they all exist, and I'm stoked that everybody this side of the Rockies is pretty cool and happy. But
Thursday night, right? Wasn't there supposed to be a big announcement?
Yeah, I think someone's like going live right now talking shit about us.
I don't even want to talk about it. It's not even worth it.
I don't either.
I think we should talk about this because because Mark Big Trouble is going to give me shit if I don't talk about this.
Yeah. So I know the game plan. I know what it takes to do one of those flannels. So you and Big Trouble Mark went in for a proper bagger's flannel. What
we did. So I'll tell you the story. I guess we have time.
Yeah.
So Mark and I have been friends we've never met, but we've been friends and we chat all the time. I think I was just shooting the shit with him. We might have even been on the phone one night talking, and he's a big Dixon supporter. He has a lot of shirts, and I have a few. I've bought a few through the years, just of like brands that I support, like S&S and stuff like that. And Hoffman did his for Daytona.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Hoffman and I are close, and like I know how it went. I know the numbers. I know what he did, and everybody bought a shirt. I bought a shirt. I'm a big supporter of him, and I think I was talking to Mark, and I told him I was toying with the idea because Curtis has mentioned to me you should try it. A few people said you should do it, but it's a big investment. Yeah, it's a big undertaking. And I mentioned it to Mark, and he's like, "Fuck yeah, you should do it. It's gonna sell." I'm like, I don't know if I want to do it. I don't know if I want to take the chance. I don't know if it'll sell. And I said as a joke, I'm like, "You want to do it with me? We'll do it together." Yeah. He's like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it." And it was like just like that. And they were like, "Really? You serious?" And then I spoke to Curtis a bunch of times, and then I reached out to them. I spoke to Danny a couple times on DM, just simple, and then somebody reached out to me, and it just kind of snowballed from there. Yeah. And next thing you know, I'm getting samples and colors. And I would say the hardest thing about doing a Dixon is figuring out how you want it to look. Yeah. Because it's really like carte blanche. Like, what do you want to do? Where do you want? Like, they can provide you colors and samples if you don't have anything to bring to the table. Yeah. But I wanted I figured it had to represent the page. I know that sounds ridiculous. But it was important to me to represent the page. And it had to represent me in a way. There was like some criteria. So if you look at the shirt is black, red, gold. It's the color of the logo. Yeah. We played with buttons and this and that. I wanted a smaller pattern on it because I said I want a shirt that I could wear to the office. I don't want it, big squares is more gangster looking. Yeah, I didn't want it too gangster looking. I wanted it a little more professional looking. So will I appeal to everybody? I feel like the performance bagger guys are like, a lot of us have, jobs, and we want to be able to wear Dixon to a meeting, to this, that, like, we're older.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us who are older group of guys. So do you want to wear something super gangster looking? Or you want to wear something that looks like a nice shirt? That was my thinking. And it had to represent that. And we went through a bunch of different colors. So the funny thing is I'm colorblind. I'm really badly colorblind. Yeah. So for me to look at these swatches was kind of a joke. Like, I'm looking at these and I'm like, what color is this?
Yeah.
That was the best. What color is this? So everything had to be sent to me and Mark. And then, we kind of said it had to be ready for Sturgis, and we were waiting, and, pops up last week, like, let's go. We're ready to go. So the deal with the shirt, it's a small run. It's not a very big run. We did men's and women's. We did from extra small to 5X. We did large, extra large, and double X long. They will be for sale as of the 6th at the Hoffman booth in Sturgis.
At the Black Hills, right?
At the Black Hills, yeah.
Yeah.
So the entire run is sitting there at that booth. Every single shirt. So I don't know what the plan is for online. I'm sure we're going to release it online, but it's going to be about a week after Sturgis.
Yeah.
If somebody really, really wants a shirt, and a lot of people are reaching out to me, go buy it at Hoffman. That's the only way I can promise you're getting a shirt. Because if they sell out, they sell out.
Yeah.
But come like middle of the week, we're going to assess what's left. Then we're going to drop them online for sale. And then from Sturgis, like if anybody's listening, they're going to have to ship from Sturgis to Florida, where they're going to be packed and sold and then shipped out. So if you buy one, expect a bit of a delay to get them to you, because they're going to have to come from Sturgis to get packed to be sent to you.
Yeah.
And that's the deal with the shirt. We're super excited about it. It came out really good. I got a lot of compliments on it. A lot of people are hitting me up. It's pretty exciting. I'm nervous about it. I don't know.
No, I think it's dope, cool, man. I think it's cool to, like I said, I mean, it's a chance to support a page, in my opinion, that, may or may not have indirectly helped you find friends. You know what I mean? Find other individuals, or find our podcast, or find the opportunity to do what we all do on these bikes. And so to me, it's like, dude, like, support it. You know what I mean? 100%. Like, I know a lot of people may or may not be at Sturgis, but hopefully enough show up. That way maybe you can do another one. But there's something special about getting the original. You know what I mean? I'm going to keep a secret reserve. I'll be honest. I'm going to keep a secret reserve for the close friends of mine who need them. But a lot of people are going to show up. I think I think they're going to do okay. Clockworks is dropping one. Yeah. At the same time, right? They're dropping it at their party, and then they might go for sale online. I know Black Flies is dropping one this week also on Friday. So there's a few of them dropping. You know what? I really did it for the experience. Like, a big part of why I did it was for the experience. Like, I did it with a guy, Mark, Big Trouble. I've never met him before. Yeah. You know what I mean? But we just became friends because of our bikes. He's a total asshole.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, I'm going to be staying with him in a room for a while. But and I did it for the experience. I did it for the experience of, hanging out with him. I did it for the experience of this whole thing. And I wasn't sure I was going to go to Sturgis. It was really a last minute decision. And I just booked a ticket yesterday. Actually, I bought the ticket. I wasn't sure I was allowed to go. And then when I was allowed to go, the timing is really bad. I'm about to have another baby, and I have one at home. Timing is bad for that. But I said to my wife, I'm like, you know what? Like, the investment, I did it. Will I make money? Maybe I'll make a lot. Cross my fingers, I make a little bit of money. Great. But I did it really. I only did it for the experience. That was more important to me than anything else. Like, to say I did a Dixon, to like have people wearing the shirt, to see people buying it. That's the most exciting part. So if I wasn't in Sturgis to see it when it opened up, it would almost be a waste. You know what I mean? Like,
I could see that.
I'm not going to say I don't want to make a bit of money. Great if I make money. If I make money, I'm like, I'm like, worst case, if I lose tons of money, I would regret even more not being there to see it happen. Like, you know what I mean? It's the experience of all of it. So Mark and I are both flying in on Friday. He doesn't even have a bike now. Well, he has one bike with Kyle, and he has his Dyna at home. Yeah. So we're both flying in. I can't get my bike across the border. It's not even an option. And we're flying in. We're going to rent a car, and we're driving around.
That's cool. We got back seats, brother.
You got back seats? That's what
we got back
that's
seats.
Exactly what I told him. You know, well, Curtis, like,
where are you guys staying at? What area?
We're staying in Rapid City, actually.
Okay.
We couldn't really, I don't even know, we were struggling with a room. We couldn't find a room. Ben, Australian Ben.
Yeah, Ben Mace.
So, so we're staying.
Not very interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Who's got a ridiculously nice bike. So he upgraded his room. He got a sick room. Well, sick. He probably got a decent enough room to where I'm not sleeping on a floor. Because everything's sold out. I was going to sleep in either Monty's, the Roach Coach.
Yeah.
Or I was going to sleep in one of Curtis's rooms. But now we're staying there. We're going to rent a car. And, you know, I think it's going to be 2-3 days of just running around. Mm-hmm. You know, going to the show, seeing people. I haven't seen anybody since 2019, I guess, at Sturgis. I haven't seen any of them. So I want to go see everybody I know. I want to say hello to everybody.
Take some pictures, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm most excited about, to see everybody. The big thing about the page for me, I've always said it, like, the best part of the page is the people I've met.
Yeah.
That's really it. Like, I was never trying to be a fucking influencer. Like, I'm too old for that. I don't give a shit. And, like, I did it for the people I've met, you know, and the friends I have all over the States now, and in Europe and different places of the country. Like, that's always been the best part. So, and I'm a relatively easy guy to get along with. I just want to have a good time, and, like, that's it. Like, I don't take any of this stuff too seriously. We're riding motorcycles. It's not. Yeah. People shouldn't take this shit too seriously. Like, if you're not having a good time, why do it? So, like, that's the whole point of it all. So that's what the point behind the shirt. Like, let's just have fun and do it. Like, fuck it. Let's do something fun. And, you know, I just feel that way about the page and all the people I've met. Like, just, you know.
So, you know, like, the page is going on its fourth
just
year?
Past 3 years.
3 years,
July.
okay.
So this July is 3 years.
So 3 years it's been out. So how much what's been the challenges now as of recent with the amount of followers it's gotten, the amount of, just the amount of, like, attention that all this type of stuff that we do now has gotten?
Some days the challenge is, I guess the challenge for me really is, what do I do with it?
Yeah.
I know that sounds ridiculous. If you're asking for the challenge of the page, you know, it's easier now than it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, because there's more content. Yeah. So content is pretty easy to find. People tag me in tons of stuff. I'm tagged constantly in everything. So I miss a lot because I can't keep up with it. Mm-hmm. That's a bit of a challenge. Content is a challenge because I really try and post. I'm trying to find something that people don't see. You know, I'm always looking for something that you didn't know was out there. Yeah. You know, like, I love when something crazy pops up and, like, holy fuck, look at this bike and where did it come from? And it makes me so happy. I know that sounds so stupid, but it makes me so happy. I'm excited to share it with everybody.
And that's why I've always loved your pages, because I feel like that's what I would find is those guys that were different.
I get into bed every night and I'm searching for bikes. There's literally days I like stop everything I'm doing and I'm searching, and it's tough. Like, it's a lot of work. I'm not sure what to do with the page in a way, because it's just a repost page. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean by that? Like, the Dixon is the first thing I've done really that's kind of a bigger thing. You know, I do shirts, yeah. I've definitely wanted to get into vlogging and reviewing parts and stuff like that. Don't have the time for it.
It's time consuming, yeah.
You know, I'm maybe working on a couple of things, and I'm in Canada, right? So anything I do is kind of Canadian, so it's different. I'm working on maybe an event for next year up here. Do an event, doing a race up here, something like, like what you guys are doing down there, but do it in Canada, which could be cool. There's a few little things I'm working on. I don't know. I think to myself, what happens to this page? Like, how long until I just kind of...
Yeah, you kind of burn out from all the work that it takes. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what this scene would be like without a proper baggers page. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. To be honest with you.
I appreciate so much the love I get from people. Yeah. I can't tell you. Like, how much people, like, tell me, like, that the page is important to them. People are reaching out to me all the time and saying, hey, I'm going to send you this, or I want to do this, or... can I do this for you? Like, I just appreciate, Ben with the rooms. I'm like, Ben, I want to pay. I don't need to stay in your room. I'm going to pay. He's like, you know what? You do so much for everybody. I'm not taking your fucking money.
Yeah.
I'm like, to me, I don't think I do anything. Like, I'm like, I steal your pictures and I put them online. That's all I do. You know? So I guess I would rather do more collaborations with different companies. You know, I've thought about that, and I've spoke to multiple people about, you know, collabs with clothing companies, collab with parts companies, but I'm very careful not to step on people's toes. So maybe that's what's held me back from doing things. And I kind of get along with everybody, you know. I love Olin's, but I love Legends, you know. I like Clockworks, but I like Memphis Shades. Like, I want to keep my relationships with everybody
open and non-biased, 100%.
Yeah, and I try to keep it non-biased. Sometimes people tell me I'm biased, and like I try, like obviously I'm biased towards my page sponsors. Of course I am. A, they're my page sponsors, and B, they're usually my friends, my page sponsors. You know, that's a big thing. So, you know, people who aren't my page sponsors, who I push a lot, it's because they're my friends. You know, so I guess that's it. So, but I'd like to do more collabs. I would like to make a buck off the page. I'm going to be honest with you. You know, I don't really make anything. If the Dixon makes me a little bit of money, great.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, okay. But like, I'd like to figure out how to monopolize and that's the wrong word. Monetize the page. I at one time I thought about doing a Patreon for the page, but I'm like, what am I doing? I'm stealing people's pictures. I'm putting them online.
Yeah. If you did Patreon, we definitely want to see that butthole.
You want to see? I mean, depending on how much money, I'll show a butthole a day.
No, that's, you know, when it comes to monetization, man, with things, you know, you touched on earlier talking about like that we live in a world of Amazon and now and things like that, but we also live in a world of things don't feel like they cost anything. Like, because when you pay, let's say you pay $15 or $16 or $17 a month for Netflix, you don't realize that you're still paying $16 a month because you look at it so much throughout the day or the month that it doesn't resonate. It's not like you have to pay $16 every time you decide to get in the app, right?
No. Yeah.
And so the same thing with like podcasts and with different types of creators and things like that. Like, you don't realize how much you listen to or watch or do things for one thing, and how, like, Steve hasn't done a YouTube video in a while, right? I didn't realize how much I enjoy just seeing, even though we talk all the time, I didn't realize how much I enjoy just seeing what the fuck's up with Steve, and, you know what I mean, watching him progress his brand with Screaming the Speed of Fab and his YouTube channel. So, you know, like these, if you, let's just say that, like, if this is gonna sound like an ad to try to like get people to spend money, I'm sorry, but if you just say $20 a month, I'm gonna give $20 a month to the content creators that I think I support and respect what they're doing and they're helping going somewhere. You know, you could put $1 here, $1 here, $1 here, and that shit adds up, man. It really does. And you know, the thing is about like you know, with the motorcycle industry is that while relatively there is a lot of people, there's not millions of people that like our specific scene, right? So this podcast will never have millions of downloads like a Joe Rogan or a Theo Vaughn or one of these comedians that are famous, right? It's never going to be there because our industry is not big enough to do that. So therefore, we will never make anywhere close to the money that they have ever done, right? To be completely honest with you, I joke about it all the time, but there are makeup artists that have podcasts that make 10 times the amount of money than I ever will doing a podcast, right? And these bitches are just fucking painting their faces, right? I'm inspiring dudes to rise across the country and bringing guys like you and all these other inspirational people on. So it's just a smaller niche, and because of it's a smaller niche, it's like you got to have a little bit of ownership, you know, and that's why we do the things we do, like the campouts and shit, and we support all these other smaller people and just people in general, you know, down south, up north, fucking everything, the campouts, the parties, the rides, the meetups. Like when you guys were doing Daytona, doing the meetups in Daytona, like the shit matters, man. And like a dollar goes a long fucking way in the internet world, you know? Think about it like this. Every follower you have on Instagram, if you had a way to get, let's just say 50 cents from each one.
$30,000 a month?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't, you know, at one point I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do like, I had a couple of ideas. I could run them by you, and everybody can hear it. Doesn't. One of my ideas was I do a monthly page sponsor for that month. I promote that product. At the end of the month, we give away the product.
Yeah. And
that could be a sort of advertising. I'm like, it's good for the product who gets it. It's good for the followers. They get a giveaway. It's kind of a win-win for everybody. And, I charge a nominal amount. I could do something like that. And that was a cool idea, and a bunch of people were on board. And I thought about the Patreon thing again, but I always kind of felt like I was standing there with my hand out.
That's what it feels like.
You know what I mean?
And it doesn't feel like real money. It doesn't feel like real money at first, to be honest with you.
It doesn't. Yeah, and I felt like I don't want to ask people for something that I do because I love, like money to do. But at the same time, I probably spend 20 hours a week on the page at a minimum. Yeah. You know what I mean? And people were like, yeah, you get, free parts or whatever. Okay, I get free parts and free T-shirts. I mean, it really doesn't accumulate to very much at the end of the year. You know what I mean? And I built a 6-figure bike before I get any free parts. You know what I mean? So
that's the other thing that people don't realize is that, like, for me to get the relationship with Lucky Dave's, I've also bought 5 seats and 4 sets of bars years prior to. You know what I mean? I bought my first 4 Simpsons were all purchased by myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it takes time to build these brand relationships, and people don't understand that the patience and the loyalty, that's one word that people don't understand anymore.
Yeah.
The loyalty to things, it takes time to build relationships,
So that's it. So I guess I don't know what the future holds for Power Baggers. I would love to do more collabs. I'm very careful not to, like I said, feel like I'm standing there with my hand out,
Yeah.
Like I have I'm self-employed. I do okay. So I don't, it's never been about the money for me. It's just been about, the friends and the passion. And it's been about the scene and the bikes. It's always been about the bikes for me.
But in a sense, you've kind of been able not to enjoy the fruits of the labor for the last year being stuck up there in Canada.
I have not.
So it's like all the effort of reposting and connecting people the way that your page does, you haven't had a chance to actually sit there and enjoy any of those relationships that have been formed,
No, and all the bike trips that everybody goes on that I should be there, 100% I'm not there and I can't enjoy it. Hopefully that changes. But, I look, I mean, maybe one day the page will be something. Maybe, it's funny. I was talking to Harley earlier this year about getting my hands on a Pan America.
Yeah.
And I was talking to, the global marketing people about it. And they kind of came back with, I don't mean that's to sound like an asshole, but they came back with come grab a bike, you can borrow a bike. And I'm like, I have no interest in borrowing a bike. like you want me to promote the bike? I want a bike. Or, fuck it. I'm not investing my time and energy into borrowing a bike. I had a really good business plan and everything for them. So that was my first time where I really went a big push to try and pull something out of the page, substantial, but it would have been a hell of a lot of work, which I didn't have the time anyways to do. But maybe another idea will come to me if somebody has a great idea for me, who knows? I'm not...
I think that's what I think people are going to start seeing over the next couple of years. They're going to see these things that they've come to expect and enjoy. And I mean, think about it like this: like the people that are just coming into Harleys on maybe it's the wrong way to say it, but like our watch or our time frame, they're always going to remember the scene that they came into, right?
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that they always remember going, man, that shit was good. That was great. And then this happened and it went to shit and we've never had something like that. Hopefully it's the opposite and it's like, no, this shit was great and I've always enjoyed motorcycles ever since I came in the scene. I've been able to make friends across the country and blah, blah, blah. And I've got memories out the ass. You know what I'm saying? So
we paved the road for these guys to come into that scene. They're not coming in, when we were in this years ago, not to say that we're not entitled to anything. We're just like everybody else. But when we came in, we were finding each other. It was like all our personal pages. There weren't a lot of us out there.
Yeah.
And then now between your podcast and maybe a page like mine, we've paved the road for somebody who gets into the scene. Okay, you're curious about this? Okay, well, you find the page. Okay, you find the podcast. All this stuff already exists to get into the scene and, to get it, to feel like part of it.
Yeah.
which has been years and years of work. People don't realize that, and it's been years of work for nothing. You know, like back in the day when you wanted. So you said to me before, like my page is like a modern day magazine, and I guess so. I don't want to give myself that much credit because I don't think I do very much. But like back in the day, you go buy 10 magazines a month, and you dish out $50 a month for magazines. People don't buy that anymore. You go on Instagram, you look at bikes, and that's all it takes. Yeah. It takes nothing. And we're living in a world, like you said about Netflix. Yeah, you live in a world where for me the biggest one. The biggest mindfuck for me is Spotify, simply because I grew up working at music stores my whole life, and music's been a huge part of my life. And I used to dish out a lot of money on music.
I did
and
too.
Now I pay $13 a month and have every song that's ever been recorded. And it's a mindfuck for me to think that exists today for that much money,
For what one album costed when we were growing up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if it was on sale. Because if it wasn't on sale, it was $20. And we're talking 20 years ago. Yeah. So like it's crazy for me, and people take all the shit for granted. So you're right. People take for granted that everything is free. The amount of effort that I put into this page 50 years ago would be a paying job. It's not a paying job anymore. Yeah. There's people who would do it, and people do it for a hobby. So
a lot of people do what you did, that like they'll build a page up to your level and then they'll sell it to a brand. And then they erase all the content and then put their logo on it and post their own content. And you're like, how the fuck did this company already get like 100,000 followers,
I get that all the time. I'm looking at something like, I'm not fucking following these people. Like, where the fuck did this come from? I get that all the time. And I delete the page so fast because it's like, it's annoying. That's annoying. But I don't, look, never say never. Would I ever sell the page? Maybe, but I don't think so. It's not worth.
It's kind of synonymous to you, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like people that
I think
they get to know you over time. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do, but everything that you could do to make the page better is more time. And you have to balance the time versus, how much can you afford to give away, right? And that's the same thing. Yeah. It's like, I felt like growing this podcast, like there was a chance that I could make money doing it, right? Mm-hmm. And because I felt like there was a chance, I stuck it out, right? But there was a clear path to financial deals, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But the thing is I think that like we're, as a society, we've been enjoying so much entertainment that doesn't cost us anything. Maybe it's a YouTube show that you watch, and then occasionally a Tide commercial comes through to tell you about their new soap for clothes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But eventually, like even the amount of time it takes to make a video, like that's one of the things we wanted to get into, is making videos like Steve does. Is like, man, like I don't want to do that and get to that point of making the content I've always wanted to make, but then censor myself to fit to a YouTube algorithm so that I'm not who I really am, or not what this is really about. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I would rather make the videos I want to make and then sell it to you. Just like I make a paint job and sell it to you. Just like I make I take a photograph and sell it to you. Just like anything that I do here, this is the art that I created. Yeah. This is what it costs.
Just doesn't work that way anymore.
I think that eventually I think it's gonna come around. I mean, podcasting is now a big part of our culture. Mm-hmm. Huge, but at the same time,
I listen to podcasts more than I watch TV.
Agreed. I do as well. And honestly, like Joe Rogan is the guy, right? He's the guy that I think most of us kind of like all kind of funnel to every once in a while. But he got $100 million from Spotify, and I'll tell you right now, I watch so much Joe Rogan that if he had a Patreon, I'd support it. Straight up.
Well, we used to pay for something like a Joe Rogan for the entertainment that this one person gives us. If he was, the amount of people who listens to his show is like a prime time #1 show. It's fucking what Friends was in the 90s. Well, that's Joe Rogan today. Yep. But people don't look at it that way. So people used to be paying, a year, hundreds of millions of dollars to sponsor and to have an ad on people's shows. Well, now, Joe Rogan does it free. He's been doing it free for, 2,000 episodes or something like that. Not free anymore, but like these guys are getting big payouts. The fucking girl there got with her Call Me Daddy show got $60 million to switch to Spotify. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy. She talked about dicks for 30 minutes. I mean, I don't get it,
I mean, it's inspiring, you know, but like I said, I love the motorcycle industry and that's my world, you know. Unfortunately, it's not the makeup industry or the dick riding industry. So I'm kind of fucked on that end, but you know, at the same time, like I'm also not doing any of this shit to get rich. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I always said, and I wholeheartedly, and I say this because I want someone to call my bluff because it might happen. But if for some reason I was ever to make it big in doing something and made financial stupid money, or let's just say I made Dixon money for that rather, I would, you know, I would still do what I do now. I would still ride. I would still do this. I would just sponsor people. I would have a lot of sponsors. I'd sponsor people that I think were doing badass shit. They could use the boost, the stimulus, if you will, to kind of do more, get there quicker. You know what I mean? I'd sponsor shows, events. I would do shit like that, man. Like that's how I feel like I would be able to, you know, more than just giving back by sharing people's stories and giving them somewhat of a air quotes platform to kind of talk on. Yeah. I would, you know, I would want to help jumpstart someone's career to get to the point where I think that they're capable of and using my judgment to that. You know what I mean?
Well, it's super cool. Like one of the things that I really do enjoy is when I post a bike and a guy will write me how much he appreciates it and it means a lot to him. And it's really nice when people write me that. And the fact that I made somebody smile, I know it sounds really fucking cheesy, but the fact that I made somebody smile and feel good today because I posted their bike and they're like, it's a good boost to their ego. Like, wow, I got posted today. Like that makes me happy. Yeah. You know, that's it. And like if I can make a couple people happy a day with my 2 posts a day, like, I mean, it's cool. I mean, even myself, when somebody posts my own bike or one of my cars online, like, it feels cool. Yeah. Yeah. Feels good. I like it.
Well, let me run to the bathroom real quick, and then we'll take a pause for the cause, and then we'll come back and we're gonna switch gears. Okay. Okay. All right. 1 second. All right, I'm back. So, what I want to do now is I think it'd be fun to talk about, like, get your perspective of some bikes that have come out in the last year, because you did something that was really cool for the end of the year. The top 10. So. What was it about that top 10?
Tons of people. So that was like, quick backstory. Like it was literally like, I don't know, a week before New Year's. And I don't know, I was talking to somebody. It just popped in my head, like fucking top 10. Yeah. And I literally wrote out a list on a piece of paper and I dropped, if you go back to my top 10, I think there's 13 bikes in it. Yeah. So, cause I dropped the first couple of bikes. I'm like, fuck, I forgot this bike. And so I shuffled it around. And I ended up moving stuff around in the list. But it got one of the biggest responses I ever had. People fucking loved the top 10. Yeah. And like after that, like people were like literally messaging me saying, I got to be in next year. I got to be in next year. And a lot of people were mad that I didn't include certain bikes. But I'm like, yo, like it's not a new build. Yeah. You know? So I think the ones I actually got the most were Big Trouble. People were upset that I didn't post my own bike. Yeah. Who else? Probably Race Glide, you know, Spatafor, those bikes there. But these aren't new bikes. These bikes been around. It's a top 10 list. And I think everybody more or less agreed with my list, you know. And I'm sure I forgot one or two.
I felt like it was pretty spot on. I mean, our scene's small enough to where you can tell who's put the complete money, not just the... Yeah. I mean, how many fucking beautiful black road glides with carbon fiber scattered parts are there out there with Olin's everything, right? There's a million of them. Unfortunately,
my hands in the air. Yeah.
But unfortunately, right. That's kind of the kit for the performance bagger, right? That's kind of like So when you do what Kyle did, or you do what Lucky Strike did, or those guys like that, like that's the next level. You take the carbon fiber and then you put art on top of it. You know, those bikes, to me, you know, it's the same way like when we started doing this whole Torque magazine thing with the guys that are involved.
Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you. How do you judge who gets in? You know, like being semi a part of like that decision making process of what to put in there, like what I imagine I equate it to what you probably felt like when you were doing that top 10. So what I thought about with this first issue, which I don't, I just had suggestions that I put in on the table for the people that made the decisions. But I looked at it like I picked 5 bikes that I felt like 5 painters that are within our industry of performance motorcycles, not just baggers, had a hand in, 5 builders that I feel like have due credit for what they've done, and 5 people that own the bikes that have been a part of the scene and making efforts, right? So you kind of hit the nail on the head on 3 of them, where you have a painter who is active, that's a part of the industry, that rides, that hangs out, that parties. You have a builder, you have an owner that all does the same thing, right? And so to me, I feel like, unfortunately, I feel like that's part of that's part of the bike. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's the new thing about our industry, about our scene now, is that it is the people too. They're a part of the kit, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. But like, that being said, I agree. When I did my list, I'm always trying to stay unbiased. Yeah. You know what I mean? So definitely, it's like, it's also, if you know the guys, if you're friends with it, they shine a little more. There's a lot of bikes out there that nobody's even seen that are sick. So it definitely, like, for the people who are trying to get in the magazines, on the pages, like, send messages, talk to the people. It definitely helps your case. But
there's a few baggers out there that I've actually found the people through your page that I think are beautiful. They might be more solid color, factory colors with factory match accessories and parts. But I still think, like, man, that bike fucks, man. Like, I've talked about him a few times. That Hugh Joneson dude that has that that police Road King, I think is what it is, out in California. Dude, one of the sickest. I mean, dude, I love that bike. It's simple. It's not like a panel paint job or anything like that. It's just a good fucking looking bike. Yeah. And when I see it, I'm like, I want to ride that. You know what I mean? Yeah. You want to get on. I love those police bike builds. Yeah. I'm obsessed with them. Like, I even thought maybe I should do that. I have too much gold on my bike. It's not going to happen. But black chrome with police theme, so mean. Black and chrome. I'm a very big fan of black and chrome these days. I'm headed. I think I'm going to go chrome so my version of my bike. Just a quick tangent. My bike right now. I just looked at your paint now that you just posted tonight. I was just looking at your story. It's fucking amazing. Thank you. Crazy. This is like, that paint job will be for sale in about a month and a half, 2 months. Okay. Right? Because I'm working on some other shit, but that right there, this is just a Sturgis facade, if you will. I'm just taking it Sturgis to look like this, right? But the real build of this bike is going to take place over January for Daytona. That's where I'm going to try to come out with, I don't want to say a Kyle-esque build, but I do want to say, like, I'm going to put more effort into this. I don't know if I'll do frame. I don't think I'll do that because I, like I said, I do plan to sell the bike at the end of next year, and a frame off build puts you into another price category that I think it'd be harder to find a buyer for that type of stuff. But fair enough. But yeah, so you're thinking chrome. I kind of want to do some chrome implemented into it because I feel like it's the one thing that's not very represented in our scene. But at the same time, like, I still feel like that what I love about this is the way these bikes look and feel is kind of equal to me because I'm a visual builder or designer or creative in a sense. I'm not like, Mark at Texas Performance where everything is mechanical and operational and functional. Like, I'm more of a, like, I want this to look cool and feel cool and be cool. You know what I mean? So, if you're going to lean towards chrome, I'm a very big supporter of that. It looks like Carl's doing a bike with a mix of chrome and gold. Yeah. Like chrome and mirror gold, which could be really mean too. Yeah. Like a nice color. I never even thought about those colors together on a build. But if I was doing another bike, chrome would be a big part of it. I really think like it's like paying homage to like my dad, you know, and their generation, your gas cap. Yeah.
You know, that's chrome and gold, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like pay like tribute, build a bike off of that theme there.
Yeah, there's a lot of those type of feelings, man. Like, you know, like this paint job that you were just mentioning on mine is it's a color combination that I've never really explored very much. And I think that possibly Kyle and Poland had a lot to do with pushing me this direction with the earth tones and browns and champagne, which is like our flake from Paint Huffer. But yeah, I mean, I'm just, you know, I'm trying to do new things that are and push myself to go to another place, right? Like I have a very comfortable color palette that I use when I paint bikes, and you can kind of definitely see it. You know, like if you look at Jeremy at Lucky Strike, like he can put colors together and fits his style that I don't think I can. You know what I mean?
Well, everybody has a very distinct. I could look at one of your paint jobs and say that's a Jace paint job.
Yeah, for sure.
Jeremy is the same thing. Poland's the same thing. Like it's really cool that, and I get that that's your thing. You want to be able to, in a way, like, so as a painter, is that something that's important to you? Is that like something you consciously think it's got to look like a Jace painted motorcycle? Is that a ridiculous question to ask you? Like,
no, it's not. I think it's the harder thing whenever you're trying to explain that to a customer that wants what they're willing to pay for, you know? So, I mean, I've, you know, famous story. I don't know if you've heard of Jetty, Black Jetty. I don't know what he calls himself these days, but Jeremy painted his Dyna, and it's one of the sickest paint jobs ever, right? Well, originally he wanted me to paint it, but when he told me the color combination, which is what Jeremy painted, I was like, that sounds gay as AIDS. Now
you're not supposed to say that anymore.
I'm not supposed to say the other word. I can say that. So I was like, no, man, I'm just not. That's not my thing, right? But when Jeremy did that, I'm like, fuck. Like there's no way I would have ever seen that paint job with those colors. But now that he's done it, like I see it, you know. So, you know, I think that's what's awesome about this about motorcycles is that in another sense, like don't get me wrong, like it's always most of us are from a world where we've only just got to a point where we can turn down work, right? Yeah. Myself, Jeremy, Poland, even like, you know, Springle and a lot of people that's been in the motorcycle industry for years. I don't think any of us have ever gotten comfortable with the fact of saying, you know what, I don't think that one's for me, right? And then when you see it go to another one of your friends, like you're stoked that your friend got it, but there's still that part of you deep down in your soul, you're like, fuck, that could have been me. You know?
That could have been, and it looks so dope. Yeah. So I totally get that.
So that's part of the new experience of all this. And I think that,
but it's so cool that all you guys, like the guys in the scene that are known for painting bikes, like you, Jeremy, Poland, I wish he would do more work. I think just the level of work is not a lot of people are going to him. He's doing, you know, helmets for NASCAR and F1 and stuff like that. But, it's amazing that you guys are all friends and your buddies. Like you know, Kyle had his bike painted by, you know, a group of painters. You know what I mean? Like that. That's so cool that everybody gets along and you don't see each other's competition. And you know, I also like you know, you were talking about your style. Like I'm a big believer in you let the expert do what they do best. You know, you say, you know, if I couldn't imagine going to a painter like you saying, okay, but this is what I want.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make sense to me. It's more like go to you and say, okay, you know what? I want what you do. Maybe you know, everybody's going to say their colors or whatever, you know, I lean towards this, but whatever you think is better, just do it. Cause they're going to get, the more people give you the artistic freedom, I'm sure the better the work is. It's when they start saying you have to do this, this, and this, that it's really, it's like, it's holding you back.
Well, to play devil's advocate to that, to give customers and people a little bit of credit, sometimes it's the customers that push you into creative changes that help you evolve, right? It's just like it becomes like, am I ready to take on this mental challenge of changing something that I've gotten good at, you know? Yeah. And to touch on the other thing, it's like one of the things my buddy James had told me this. He's one of the guys that travels with me all the time. He goes, you ever think about the fact that like your biggest competition in paint is your best friends in paint.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
pretty fucking rad, no?
that's a weird place to be. Not saying it ain't amazing, but that's a different thing where my biggest competition technically is Jeremy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the performance bagger painting world, he's Jeremy. And we were just, I was texting him yesterday, put it like this. I was texting him yesterday, sending him pictures of my paint going, hey, should I do it this color or this color?
But that's fucking amazing. You know what I mean? Because there's enough meat on the bone for everybody. The scene is so big, and to be able to lean on somebody who does exactly what you do for his opinion, like, you know, his opinion, you can take his opinion and say, okay, you know, I trust his opinion, and he understands how it's done. So he's going to understand the things that the average person won't see. So to have an ally like that is crazy. Where would you ever get that? Like, you would have never had that in the fucking big wheel scene or any of that kind of shit. No, in a million years. In any scene, I don't think you would have it. Do you think the guys who cut risers, do you think they call each other and say, what do you think of this riser design? I'm pretty sure they don't.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it was something. I mean, I was leaning towards it, but I needed his confirmation for an opinion, and he said go this way, and I went that way with this paint job, and I love it. You know what I mean? And that's it's very new, but very conflicting. It's like,
but you're also two very different styles.
We are 100%. Yeah.
You know, same scene, similar customer, but they're night and day different.
Yeah.
When you look at them, you know, which is cool because somebody will go to you and do one, and somebody will go to him and do another, because you're not going to get, like, you're going to get both sides of the spectrum. I'm using that, right?
No, yeah,
you know
100%.
Which is really fucking cool.
Like I said, there's so many things that are unique to this scene that we're in, this the style of bikes that we ride that's so unique to it that it's never really been that way. And I'm not going to say it's never been that way. I'm just going to say that I've never experienced it in my almost 20 years in the motorcycle industry. Now, when I got into the industry in the early 2000s, it could have been that way, but I was too low level to ever experience what it was like to be on the platform that those guys were on at that time. But I'm stoked, man. I think that because of that, we'll all grow. You know what I mean? Well, everybody has grown, and everybody's grown together, and like, it just shows, like, you know, there's room for everybody. How many? I feel like a couple times you've posted pictures. Like, I'm not one of those dudes. I've never been this way, but I like to. You know, I'm talking about it because it's funny. It's so crazy to me, like, how many people outside of the United States and Canada will straight rip off a paint job.
Yeah, I heard you talking about that the other day. Yeah, I've seen that. And when you talked about that the other day, I mean, and it mostly happens out of, you know, usually out of Indonesia, China, Japan, something like that.
Thailand.
Do you look at Thailand?
Yeah.
But I mean, it kind of happens on, you know, a lot of different things, not just paint. Maybe it happens on parts and stuff like that. I mean,
yeah, it definitely happens across the board. I think that just obviously when you post a bike on your page that is not black or carbon fiber, then I immediately am drawn to it because I'm like, oh, who's this? And I immediately look at, like, oh, is this paint job flow? You know, I have my criteria that I look for in a paint job. And then, you know, by doing so, I'm like, oh shit, like, where have I seen that design before? And then I'm like, I turned to the left and I was like, oh, it's my bike right there.
There was one, I remember, it was like I don't even remember, but I remember there was definitely one that was, like, really, like, you know, and it didn't even occur to me until somebody called it out.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't have the eye you do, and I'm not particularly looking. I'm like, oh, flashy paint, cool, let's post it up. But do you see it as a compliment? Or
for sure.
Like,
dude, because I was that guy, you know, 15 years ago, I was that guy trying to mimic the people that not that these people, like, idolize me, but I idolized people, and I wanted to be able to do what they did. So I did the same things, but I was also charging $500 to paint a bike. And, you know, it was more of an experience thing for me than, you know, I don't care. I really don't, because I've always told people that are worried about people trying to copy them that I'm like, look, if they're successful at copying you, then they're always going to wait for you to create the next thing they got to do. So if
and everybody knows, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know they're copying.
Yeah.
I remember years ago when I started doing t-shirts, I had a t-shirt that said like performance bagger and an arch and a text under it. And some guy from Thailand tagged me in a picture of him wearing that t-shirt. And I'm like, oh, cool. How did this guy get my shirt in Thailand or wherever it was? And I look closer. I'm like, the fucking font is different on one of the lines. Like he bootlegged my shirt.
And then tagged you in it.
Yeah, and he tagged me in it.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of I was really flattered. I'm like, that's pretty fucking amazing. Like, I'm like, I was kind of like, I don't know. I didn't look at it in a bad way. I'm like good for you. Like he cared enough to literally reproduce my own shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a t-shirt. It's not like it's a whole motorcycle paint job, but I kind of saw it as like, you know, the guys over there aren't going to have you paint their bike. I mean, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So, you know, and
honestly, those dudes over there, there's painters over there that fucking blow me out of the water, dude. There's some dudes in Japan and Thailand that are fucking phenomenal.
Get in trouble for this, but it's like a 13-year-old kid chained to the machine who's doing it, though. That's the problem.
No, man, there's a handful of guys over there that are just absolutely amazing.
Talent is why, like, when you look at like the lowrider scene over there, it's fucking mind blowing some of the shit. And could you imagine how expensive doing this shit is over there?
Yeah.
Like our bikes in Thailand and Indonesia, what they're spending on these bikes to get them to our level. There's a shop in Indonesia that bangs out bike after bike after bike, and they're all inverted front ends. They're all running parts from here in the States.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't imagine. I think from what I understand from these guys, they say like it's like Porsche, Rolls Royce, Harley Davidson. Those are the dealers on the street. Like it's super high end, you know. Before we went off on this tangent, you wanted to talk about bikes.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about like you know, so I feel like because of your place, like you get a lot of the behind the scenes with the different bikes and the individuals. So what are some emerging trends that you think have become popular amongst our scene? You know, like how do you see it, kind of how it's evolved this last year, and what do you think might be the next big thing? Not big thing like different from what we do. What do you think the next flavor will be?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, I know from like everything shifted to paint. That was a big shift a year ago or wherever it was. That was a really big thing.
Which I predicted, but go ahead.
Yeah, you did predict it. I mean, everybody's running carbon. Fuck, you got me. That's a really good one. What do I see for trends? It's hard to say. Like,
what do you think about, so, like, let me give you my thoughts real quick. So, the Curly's build, you see that one?
Yeah.
So, it definitely has a lot of the flavor from the big wheel bagger industry. You know, it's definitely stereo heavy, but
single-sided rotor.
Oh, I like that shit. So,
yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, like, I think it's probably, to me. So I'm trying to place my words right. I'm interested in it because I think it's gonna expose our more heavier performance bikes. Not that his isn't. I think that his is dope and it's got a nice. He did some nice things to it that's different from what we're used to, but I think it's gonna help palette people that aren't used to our shit yet to make the switch.
When you look at that bike, when I look at that bike, I see somebody who builds show bikes build a performance bagger.
Yeah.
So he's not building it to ride it hard.
Yeah.
He's building it to show. He's just picking this platform. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
And I have a problem with that. Not because if you want to build that bike, more power to you. It's a trophy. Good for you.
Yeah.
I have a problem because you're missing the point. You know what I mean? Like, I have a good friend who built an insane bike, mind-blowing insane bike. And he doesn't ride it.
Yeah.
And it bugs me so much. The bike is a 3-year-old bike of 1,500 kilometers. So it's got 1,000 miles on it. And the bike is mind-blowing. And it irks me. It bothers me so much because you're spending this money on this bike, or you're building this showpiece is what you're doing. But the best part of these bikes is riding it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The best part of our bikes and what we're doing is being out there on the bike, and every mod you do makes it ride better. So when do I see the trend going towards maybe like show performance bikes? I mean, I fucking hope not. You know, and I don't mean to be a dick about it, but I really hope not. Like, I would think the Bagger Racing League shined a light on what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, and they're getting huge followings. So I would hope that you don't get the guys who want a show bike but build a performance bike. I hope you get the guys who realize, hey, wow, I could take the bike that I already have and I could really build it, you know? And maybe what we're going to see is better parts, better ideas, you know, better foot controls, more power, better suspension. You know, through all the R&D that's going to happen, maybe the trend in bikes is going to come from Harley. That's going to make a better bike. You know, somebody's got to be listening.
A better
to what
platform to start with. Yeah,
a better platform. You know, somebody's got to be listening out there to what we're doing, and we've definitely made enough noise.
Yeah. That,
you know, Bagger Racing, all these products, Harley has a sponsored bike. Like they're definitely seeing it. You know, for a long time, I thought nobody saw us. You know, like the little kids waving from the corner, hey, look at us, and nobody saw us, nobody gives a fuck. I think they see us now. So will the trend be better bikes? Maybe, you know? I really hope it doesn't go towards show bikes, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that would be a waste for all the effort we put into this, to have guys just build these, you know, like it's a whole bunch of, you know, big stereos and performance bikes. It's an oxymoron. It goes against everything we stand for.
The stereo thing is like the one thing I think the stereo is the killer of motorcycles. So, you know, regardless
you have
of who,
stereo on your bike, you listen to your Lexin, right? You listen to your headset.
I mean, I have stock speakers in there, and honestly, I'd rather have little doors to put shit in. But yeah. I mean, I will say though, like when I rode the bike home from Milwaukee though, with the ape hangers, the stock ape hangers that come on it, it really made me want to not wear a helmet and listen to my radio though.
You want to yell, hey, hell yeah.
I just wanted to fucking like, you know, I just don't feel right with a helmet on, but no, you know, that is the weirdest thing is like, because, you know, to touch on it, like Curly has reached out, he's interested in our scene, but I do, as somebody that customizes bikes and from a aesthetic or a visual standpoint, I can appreciate the bike you built.
Yeah.
But the one thing I don't know how to articulate for people that I feel like want to come into this world is the effort in the scene that they need to put into it, right? So, put like this, like DA, right? Let's take them for an example. Chuck has a sick ass bike and he rides it, but he's not sitting there going, hey guys, look at me. I build performance baggers. Come fuck with me. Right. He's just like, I just want to ride these bikes. Yeah. I just want to ride it.
They barely post their bikes. You saw the gray Street Glide they just built?
Yeah. Sick.
Yeah. You know, they didn't, I don't think they posted any pictures of that bike.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, the people that want to get into it to start selling it, like, but you know, I mean, I could never see. I don't know. I've never met the guy. I've known of him, and I'm sure he's known of me for a while, but I've never met him, Curly. But I just imagine that, like, you know, is he down to go to a camp out? Is he down to go do the V-Twin Visionary thing and go hit the Smokies? Like, is he down to be the rider behind it, or is it just like you said? Is it going to be the just the show bike, and then? So here's the deal. I love the fact that it's custom. I love the bike. I do love it. I mean, it's turquoise. It's one of my favorite colors. So I love the bike. But I don't want it to be a show bike thing, because shows fuck up industries, right? If you build these bikes because you want to ride them and you know, I like the idea of bike nights, because when you get your shit dialed to go to a bike night, you don't win a show. You just get to be the guy that has the sick shit tonight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's bragging rights.
It's bragging rights. And bragging rights takes you a lot further than some gay-ass trophy that you can't even fit on your bike.
Nobody gives a fuck about it. But you see, I don't know Curly. I don't have a problem with Curly. The only thing I didn't like about the bike was the single-sided rotor. And I had a weird-looking, like, hub thing where the rotor should have been. There's
Yeah.
some weird thing there. Did it have carbon wheels on it?
I don't remember.
So I think it had like carbon wheels, but then a single. So that threw me. I don't have a problem with it. I don't care that he built big wheels. I don't have a problem with these big wheel guys. So I have nothing bad to say about them or the shop or anything. I just don't want it to be where people are building these bikes to not ride them.
Yeah.
It's a waste, and look, it's going to happen. It will definitely.
Yeah, it will
happen.
definitely happen.
Yeah, it's definitely going. I've definitely seen a handful of these bikes built. All performance like built, and nobody's riding them. Trends go that way. Look at the car scene; it's the same shit. You build tuner cars turned into stance cars. You know what I mean? Which are they're not drivable. So it will happen but the thing is so where the scene is now, like you're saying, where's the next trend, right? So we brought it to where the bikes are great to ride and they have power and they can stop. And then are we going to keep pushing it to where it'll get to where it is? It's not there anymore. You know what I mean? Because everybody wants to outdo each other. That's bike shops. Everybody wants to have the next best thing. How many ways can you build these bikes? Because there's not it's not like a chopper thing. You can't keep going fatter on a back tire. You can't keep going bigger on a front wheel. You can't keep going with a bigger stereo. Cooler paint's been done. More carbon has been done. More better suspension. There is no okay. You could go twin tube Öhlins now, but it looks exactly like the single tube Öhlins. It doesn't look any different. So it is the next step just like full show bikes with the custom frames and custom hardwares and stuff like that? Maybe, but will that kill the scene?
That's the I mean, you brought a good point there. Is the next thing going to be the death of it? Yeah, of the innocence or pureness of it?
Exactly. So maybe the trend should just be better quality, better people. Not that it will be, because eventually it's all going to go away. It always will. Yeah. But maybe just better quality parts, better people standing behind their parts, parts that are just like indestructible, or, technology. Maybe, better geometry on a bike. Next thing you know, the thing rides better, and then that's it. It's so hard to say what the next trend is going to be, because it's this trend is based on making things better. Yeah. And, can they get any better? That's the question. Can they stop better? Can they handle better? Can they do everything better? Like I said, it's so rare that when's the last time somebody came out with a part that blew you away? It's so rare. Yeah. Like that Arlen Ness thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ness is the only thing that I've seen that's really been.
Curtis is about to come up with something. He showed it to me and blew me out of the water. I'm like, holy fuck, that's such a simple idea. How does nobody ever think about it? Yeah. And he came up with something that's sick that everybody's going to see. In Sturgis, you'll see it. But I think that's that. I don't know. I think.
But I think maybe in the sense that our scene is small enough where nothing big has to happen for it to still continue growing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's still small enough to where we don't have to do anything wild to continue to be able to make money for us industry guys side of it. Mm-hmm. Or, you know what I mean? Like it's not big enough yet.
It's still in its infancy, the scene. Like, it's gotten pretty big, but it's a few years, a handful of years old. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the grandfathers in our scene are the Spatafor and the Race Glides. That it's still so new that like every day it's growing so much. And people are discovering it.
To give some credit a little bit, like what do you think about like? Because I mean, like when you look at like San Diego Customs and the bikes and the baggers they've built over the years, it's like. Yeah. I look at them like, fuck, those things are badass. Like one of the recent ones they did with the Sport Glide bags on it, they actually did it cleanly, super clean, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it's like it's some weird thing where like in this scene, to be fair, they've been building performance baggers for years, 2015, or maybe even earlier, for like Danny G and all those guys.
Super old, yeah.
But I feel like once those bikes get done, like I never see them anymore. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't. Well, they're customer bikes, right?
Yeah,
so they build them, the customer goes off,
so fucking clean.
It's because it's the shop, right? So a lot of times we follow bikes that are by the owners.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when a shop builds a bike, you see a bike and then it's gone. Like all the bikes you build, the paint you do, once it's off your page, nobody knows where it goes.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's some guy with a
Yeah.
private account that owns that bike and you'll never see it again, who doesn't need 5,000 followers.
Yeah.
I guess that's what it is. There's a road glide they showed yesterday, I think, on the death dealers.
Is it dyno? He was getting dynoed or whatever?
Maybe, yeah. It was like a gray carbon fiber and gray road glide. A lot of carbon. And it was on his story. Chip's story, I think it was on Chip's story. Are you looking for it?
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
So I don't know if it's still there.
Well, technically right now we should be getting roasted on Instagram.
Should we? Oh. Are you going to watch it?
No.
Watch it. Is it in there? No, I don't think it's there. It was on his story yesterday.
Okay, the death dealer, yeah. So it's it's got the bags off.
Sorry, it's a post.
Yeah, it's a post.
The last thing he did. So this bike, I don't know if you've ever seen. The guy's name is Josh.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever seen this bike before?
No, I haven't.
The bike is insane.
Yeah, it's fucking beautiful.
Yeah. So I met this guy who owns this bike. This guy's name is Josh. He has a page because I follow him. No pictures of the bike. I met him in Sturgis in 2019 when we were all there.
Yeah.
And he came up to me at Sturgis and he said to me, he goes, "You're a pro biker?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I built this bike based on your bike."
Nice.
He goes, "I loved your bike." I was at San Diego. I showed them your bike. I said, "I love this bike. Build me something similar to this." The guy was such a good guy. I'm like, "Your bike is insane. It's so much nicer than mine." I'm like, "That's such a nice compliment." And like this guy, Josh, nobody knows who he is. I don't remember what his Instagram page is. There's no call out to him. This bike has been around for 3 years.
Serious?
And you've never seen it. Yeah.
Wow.
This bike's been around since 2019. You've never seen it. And this is probably, like you and I go, this is one of the nicer bikes in the scene.
Yeah.
Easy to say. There's no reason. There's like the sides have carbon inserts and everything before carbon fiber fairings were out.
Yeah. I mean, when I got to meet Hot Dog and sat down with him, I mean, it changed my not that I had a bad perspective of Hot Dog, but it really reinforced his GOAT status in our industry as a custom painter. I mean,
was that because he painted the clown bike for our friend up here?
Yeah, I don't know about that one. No. We all do those jobs that we regret, right? But no, he's actually put, he's a very, with installing the carbon fiber inserts, things like that. He kind of figured out that shit a long time ago, and the way he did it, it's pretty interesting. But yeah, man, like I said, there's just that weird thing where, like, as I've been being called out more or whatever, because I haven't given California as much love for the building the style of bikes that we all kind of operate on. I keep going back to San Diego Customs. Have been doing it consistently. I want to say RPM Moto or Runlit or something like that. Those are the guys that actually inspired me to get on performance baggers when we rode together at Hot Bike Tour. But other than that, there's just like sprinkles of people here and there all over California. California
was a big Dyna community, though. Dyna's
huge,
really big out there, huge out there.
Maybe
that's why they fought off the bagger thing for a while.
I mean, it's there. I mean, there's so many people there, like individuals. It's just, it's not like a scene though. Like, it's not a connection of people that all hang out together. You know what I mean?
Is it maybe because, I mean, the truth, like, you don't give credit to California, but I mean, I don't hear you saying, "Oh, New York has this, or Florida has this, or Massachusetts has this." Is it that just people in California are waving their hands more, saying, "How come you're not giving us credit when you're not giving credit to anybody?"
Well, let's be fair. It's not anybody in California. It's one dude, right, that we were talking about. But, and it's not that. I think that they have a strong scene. I just think that, like, to give them the ultimate compliment, I think that California, most of the people there, especially in NorCal, because I have a lot more deeper ties to the people in NorCal. Motorcycles are so much a part of their life that it's not a part of their life that they have to show you. You know what I mean? Like, they ride bikes every day. It's a part of their life that doesn't. it's a part of them to the point where they don't have to put it on Instagram all day to show you that it's part of them. It's kind of like a weird flex, if you will.
But why is it so important that one area gets recognition? Like, I don't know, who cares where it started? You know what I mean? Who cares where it? Why does anybody have to claim it as their own? You know, that's the problem I have with anybody. Like, nobody owes anybody anything. You know, if somebody starts a company today, a page today, somebody starts painting today, comes out of the blue and is doing a great fucking job, good for him.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
like, does it matter?
Think about like, I think, and this is all just speculation and kind of opinion, right? But maybe because I think that California has been such a headstrong community of custom automobiles, absolutely, motorcycles for so long that, you know, that you're so accustomed to being told that, you know, thank you for this amazing things that you've brought to the industry, right? And don't be wrong, like I said, you can easily attribute Performance Baggers being originated there in one form or fashion or the other. But, it's like when you say like a fighter, like, this is so-and-so from Ireland by way of, you know what I mean? It gets to a point where, you know, some trends may emerge in one area, but they become more popular through the efforts of somebody from somewhere else, you know? And on the other end of that spectrum, I don't give a fuck personally to, you know, if people look at myself or you or us as like the originators or not originators, but like kind of early adopters is the way I like to see. Like, I don't care. It doesn't, to be said like, hey, Jace, thank you for liking Performance Baggers 5 years ago. Like, that doesn't do anything for me financially, spiritually, or whatever the fuck you would call it. It doesn't do anything for me. It's just an accolade in a sense. All I care about is growing and preserving what has been a life-changing thing for me, finding this, right? Yep. And
there's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with somebody saying, you know, Jace, you work really hard at promoting this. You work super hard at your podcast. You know, thanks for keeping the scene going. Yeah. You know what I mean? But some people have a chip on their shoulder and they feel like, well, you know, why does this guy deserve it and I don't? Well, it's really fucking simple. Jace works really hard at what he does. He deserves credit for what he's done. I'm an asshole if I say a little bit about myself, but it's true. Like, countless hours on the page. Like, if somebody says, you know, Power Baggers did a good job at, you know, promoting the scene for, you know, 3 years now, like, you know, thanks. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying that to people. Like, you're paying respect to people who work.
I think that, like you said earlier, to another analogy, if this was 15 years ago, in a sense, we would be being praised for all the efforts and things that we did. But because we live in a world where everybody's in competition of self-promotion, right? We're all trying to get, you know, I've heard people say this to me. Oh man, I love your podcast, man. I can't do the Patreon, man, because I just can't see myself paying somebody to do what I want to do for a living.
Really?
Yeah. Like $1 a month is helping me travel on a bike and do podcasts. But you know what I mean? Like, there's this thing that, like, I think a lot of people, like, it's like the YouTuber mentality or the podcaster or the repost pager, all these things that give people accolades or notoriety. People are like, I can do that, right?
Yeah, it's the participation trophy. It's like,
I mean,
it's like you get something for nothing.
We're both products of that. You saw the ability or the opportunity to create a scene to something that didn't have much. It did have pages when you came along, but there wasn't so many that you were just another one on top of the other 10. You were one of the original 2 or 3 that came out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And same thing with me. I'm not the original motorcycle podcast. I was just, I wasn't even the first. I wasn't even probably the first.
But we're both opportunists. Like, you saw an opening and you went for it. And look, it's paid off for you. Yeah. Because you've become very successful in your world of paint. You know what I mean? And you're booked for here to as long as you want to be booked. So you took an opportunity and you went for it. And then there's going to be somebody standing on the sideline saying, well, you're an asshole or you're this or you're that because you achieved this. I mean, if somebody wants to be a hater, if somebody wants to shit on somebody else's success, I mean, more power to them. I'm sure they're going to shit on everybody's success. Like, I had this conversation with yesterday. There's two types of people. There's the type of person who's going to say, oh, so-and-so did this and sold a company and, oh, now they have this, but they didn't need this and they don't deserve this, they don't deserve that. Or they're going to say so-and-so did this and sold a company and good for fucking them. Yeah. You know what I mean? That there's a very strong line in the sand. You're either one way or the other way. Everybody's a bit jealous. There's nobody who isn't jealous when you see, but there's jealous where you say, fuck, I wish that was me, but fucking good for them.
Well, like I said before, like when it was talking about Jeremy with like the paint job stuff, right? It's like, man, like I that could have been my customer. That could have been me. There is that part of me that wants to be shitty. You know what I mean? Inherently, naturally, but
no, I wouldn't say it's being shitty.
No, not necessarily being shitty, but it's like you're like, fuck, like there is that competitive side or that part. But like I said, at the end of the day, those are thoughts, those are feelings that don't progress anything, and most of those things are like, they're just bad characteristics that we all kind of have to get rid of. Jealousy, you know what I mean, is what it is, But
that's what I mean. If somebody's going to hate on you online who doesn't know you, like, I mean, more power to you. I don't care. Like, life has got to be really hard if you're putting so much effort into something that doesn't fucking matter. You know what I mean? Like, I see shit happen all the time, and I see people getting angry all the time, and I see people overreact. And the first thing I think of is, gotta be hard to be you. Like, who cares? Who has the energy to put into something that doesn't fucking matter? So talk about a waste of your fucking time.
And that is exactly why whenever it's to that point where I'm not chasing down roads trying to, go deal with shit like homeboy tonight on the fucking thing, right? I don't know what he's gonna say. I don't care. It doesn't matter, right? But the things that I care about are the way that things work within the industry. Yeah. Because I feel like I have an ownership of it. You know what I mean? So whether my ideas or my visions of how things could be better are good or bad, I don't know. That's just like, I'm just trying to put effort into keeping it good. You care because you care about the industry. So it's not coming from a negative place, is what I'm saying. What you're saying is you care the direction people go in the industry, and you care what happens in the industry because not only for financial gain, but because you care. You genuinely care about the scene. You care about the people. You care about the motorcycle. You care. So you want the best for it in every single way. So if you see something that's doing something and you're like, it's not good for the scene, you might have a problem with it. But I got to figure out how to voice that opinion without, being blatantly shitting on the person and what they're doing, and find a way to talk to them in a way that might be
indifferent. There's nothing more hurtful than indifference. You know what I mean? If you don't like something, fuck it. Turn the page. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, the guys who are out there shouting, talking shit about you online, giving them a moment of your thought is a waste of your fucking time. Yeah. Indifference. If somebody's doing something bad for the scene, the best thing you could do, don't ever look at it. Don't talk about it. Who gives a fuck? Because it don't shine light on it. You know what I mean? Because maybe I'm talking more about people than something like that. But it's true. It's like, I've seen, parts companies, fly by night part companies, they come out with a part and it's a copy of somebody else and it's dangerous. Yeah. Right. The best thing you could do is fucking ignore it. Like, it doesn't exist, because as soon as you talk about it or shine light on it, you're bringing people's attention to it. Yeah. And that's what they want.
That's usually what I try to do when it comes to industry related stuff is like, I'm like, oh, you get people like, you should have so-and-so on. They're into performance baggers now. And I'm like, are they though? It's like, I know the audience, or I know our audience pretty well, and I know what they kind of want and what they expect. And then if somebody comes on and is completely against what people know I am, they expect me to combat that. Otherwise I'd be a hypocrite. right? So instead of putting myself in a very awkward situation with a guest who I should probably be sharing my thoughts on how they operate their business or whatever, which let's be real, like that's not something any grown man wants to hear from another grown man directly. You know what I mean? It's a weird one, man. But like I said, I just care. Not that my ideas are gospel as far as like the direction of the industry, but I just feel like it's a good way to keep things, honest.
But I think people look at you and I, like if we're two people that people look at industry, they go to you for your opinion because you have an opinion and you're not scared to voice your opinion and you kind of say what's on your mind, which I think people respect, and that's why people follow you. And I think that's why your podcast does well, because people, they want to hear what you have to say. You know, I think I'm on the other side of the spectrum where people might look and say, well, he doesn't ever take a stand. I don't. I stay neutral to everything. I'm not. Yeah,
it's a better place.
Yes and no. You know what I mean?
Dude, the amount of people that got so mad with a meme that I jokingly put on Instagram about ape hangers. You know what I mean?
I don't even remember it.
It was like probably last December, I think. I had posted something and it kind of spurred up the whole Facebook groups again and things like that. It's like, for one, it's a joke, and it is a joke, but I guess when you tell, I don't know, like I don't know why my opinion matters so much, but it's weird because it's like when I want it to matter, it doesn't, but when I don't want it to matter, it does. You know what I mean? When I want to tell people like, yo, this is important that we do this, everybody's like, shut the fuck up, Jace. But then I'm like, hey, you know what's gay? And they're like, you don't say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
Well, what do you think about, you follow Beast Coast?
Yeah.
Love his page.
I think it's funny,
he fucking
man.
Rips into everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's doing well with the page, and him and I might do some kind of collab T-shirt or something because he fucking makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And like the more I wish he would talk more shit about baggers.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's still fucking with the low hanging fruit right now, but at the same time,
he goes after them because it's his buddy who runs that page. He just goes after Sportsters so hard, and I fucking love it.
That's what we need, though. We need fun, man. This shit's supposed to be fun, and when if you take that shit seriously or if you get butthurt about it, then man, the internet ain't for you, man. It's just not. You should probably go watch CNN or something. CNN.
That's the generation, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's offended by everything on the internet.
I've heard people, in industry talks, right? So I'm trying to figure out how to word this without like saying who it is, but a guy told me, he's like, man, like Jace, we love your opinion, we value everything you have to say, man. But we were at a show and man, somebody walked up and go, hey man, I love what you guys are doing. I really like the Fast Life podcast, but I'm one of those guys he considers a hell yeah brother. And I'm like, and so they took that as a derogatory thing. And I'm like, I get it. It's funny and it's a joke. Right. And I get it that we all have just classified this type of biker that's that way. But the thing that I just wish people to understand is like, it doesn't matter what you ride.
No, it doesn't. Nobody fucking cares.
It's just 100%. A joke. It's the new version of the Sportster joke.
100%. It's apps, and you should be able to make fun of yourself.
I'm pretty easy to make fun of, so I leave that to my friends. But my friends fuck with me, and that's what keeps me. I do podcasts with a lot of my close friends regularly, and that's humbling to me. Like I can't. I'm not Fast Life Jace and the Fast Life Garage around my best friends. I'm fucking the dude that rides with them and drinks with them and fucks up and shits myself and things like that. You know what I mean?
But that's totally how it should be. I told Mark, I said, "Fuck, I'm coming to Daytona. I'm gonna finally meet all you. I'm coming to Sturgis. I'm gonna meet all you guys. Yeah. I'm gonna have to dig out my skinniest jeans in my closet to wear because that's how I wear, old gray hair with skinny jeans. Like
you're trendy, man.
I don't know about that. I'm fucking old now, I get told I'm a boomer. I'm a boomer. That's what I am. Fucking boomer. That's what I'm being told all the time now.
Okay.
You get to a point in your life where you think you're still cool and you're like hip, And then I was in a meeting today with my assistant who's like in her mid-20s and a customer in their mid-20s. And I'm the old guy in the fucking room.
Yeah.
And I don't get the jokes anymore. I don't get the way people dress anymore. I don't get fucking any of it. I'm like, when did this happen? You know?
Yeah. That's why I don't hang out with my kids.
Yeah. Like they, watch a kid play a video game online.
Yeah.
I don't fucking understand. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
There's a lot of things, man. But yeah, that's definitely one of them where you're trying to, to be hopeful though, like that generation. I mean, if you look at the generation of the stunt guys, the younger stunt guys and what they've done, even though Sit Down Steve is not young, he's old as fuck. Just what that scene has brought to our scene. Yeah. It's brought they brought a flavor to it, and I don't really, but somehow I identify with these motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Like,
have you ever lifted your front wheel?
Oh yeah, I've done some fucking sick ones.
On purpose or not?
Yeah. All it takes is a couple beers and that shit comes right up.
Yeah.
Not now though. Not with this stock ass 114. I ain't doing shit with it. But
I mean, a real wheelie guy will wheelie fucking anything.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a real wheelie guy.
Yeah. I lifted my front wheel once.
I'm gonna hold my beer. Watch this wheelie guy.
I did it once. I'm like, okay, I'm good. Never again. Yeah. Not even gonna try it again. But yeah, I'm not a big. I don't need to watch 100 wheelie guys videos.
Yeah.
But I like to watch the fucking antics. I love to watch Junkyard Kenny. Kenny is amazing. Makes me laugh so much. And I don't think I would hang out with him in real life because I think I'd be scared to hang out with those guys in real life. I'm too old. I don't want to get in a bar fight. I don't need a black eye.
Yeah.
But fuck.
But I'm glad they exist, man.
Yeah.
Those dudes exist, and they bring I don't know, man. Like I said, this scene is shaped by so many people nowadays, and but
it's good as long as everybody's positive, as long as everybody's bringing good things to the scene. It's fucking amazing. That's why
the bigger this shit gets, the more drama we're all gonna have. It's inevitable, right?
There's drama coming from one little place right now that's non-existent. Besides that, everybody's fucking cool.
Yeah.
There was drama coming from up north, and now it's coming from down south. There's always somebody, and there's always something. But I hate to this whole California thing because I know tons of great people in California that I really, really like. I love Steve from Speed Kings.
Yeah,
he's from California. Dude. His new bike is incredible.
Yep.
That white bike he built, it's beautiful. And I haven't met him. I'm going to meet him in Sturgis. And I love going to California. I really miss it.
I miss it too, man. I'm actually part of me wants to leave Daytona or leave Sturgis and just go to California again just to do it. I love
when do
that
you get
place.
To Sturgis?
I'm leaving Monday, so this is it's Thursday now. Leaving Monday. We'll be there Wednesday. We're taking our time. We'll be there Wednesday, and I'll be there Wednesday to Wednesday, and then after that, I'm planning to hit the road and spend maybe 5 or 6 days. I don't know. I really don't know. Like, part of me, this has been a real rough summer. Not to dive into too much. It's a heavy summer. Financially, it's kind of weird. I'm doing well. I'm not broke or anything like that or struggling, but it's a lot of change this summer, right? So, change always is an uncomfortable feeling, I think, for anybody. And a lot of things change for me, I think for the better, but it's just weird, right? It's kind of like when with the new vehicle, the new car that I got, that's something very new to me. I've never had and it's not even new. It's just pretty fucking new. I've never had that before, man. So that's a very different thing for me. Now I have a bike paint.
Did you get a Lexus?
No, I had a Lexus.
No, you had a Lexus.
So I went from pretty much having a bike payment for the last 10 years of my life to no bike payment, and I traded it for a car payment, or basically, right? And it's just different, man. It's a different vibe, and it's a different feeling, and a lot of decisions that got made this summer are definitely to better my life. But when I've always felt like it's kind of weird. Some people are the guys or the relationship people where you meet the best chick in the world and you're like, I'm going to fuck this up. I'm going to fuck this up. And you start doing things deliberately to fuck it up. Yeah. And that's kind of how it feels when you start making a couple good decisions in life and things start going the right way, you're like, this isn't real. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. So that's why I'm in a weird place.
I think you should embrace it. There's nothing wrong with a bit of success. That's your guilt talking. It's like you feel guilty for doing well or for making a bit of money. There's, as long as you're making the right decision with what you're doing, you need financial or business decision, call me. I'll help you make the right decision. You're not going to like my advice because I'm always going to tell you to do the one that you don't get to enjoy that long run. But like, there's nothing wrong with enjoying the fruits of your labor, and you worked hard and you're doing well this year. Like, be happy with it. Be proud. Just appreciate every moment of it. You know what I mean? So it's always important to appreciate the success that comes with everything, and don't be scared of it. But it's scary. Like, the better you do, the more everything is, right? So you did better. You spoil yourself a little more. It's like, you think, oh, I would love to make X amount of money. Okay, well, if you make X amount of money, you're spending X amount of money. Yeah. Everything is up there. You make this much, well, then this comes, and like nothing ever changes. It's kind of you're playing that your whole life. But it's.
I feel like I'm also kind of coming to the end of my 30s in a sense. I turned 39 in a month and a half. And, then I'm on my last year of my 30s. And at that point, so there's just a lot of, father time kind of things that you think about. You look at your 30, or I'm looking at my 30s like, fuck, did I make all the best decisions? Did I do it right? Because, every year you get a new year to kind of reevaluate yourself and kind of make adjustments. Yeah. But, for the most part, I'm looking at the next decade like, okay, I don't want to make the same stupid decisions I did in my 30s, in my 40s. So I'm hoping that I've learned enough from this last 10 years to kind of apply it to my 40s and experience a new life in my 40s, but with the good traits and the good things I figured out in my 30s. I do. But
that's the way it's supposed to work. In your 30s, you're supposed to grind and figure it out. In your 40s is where you put your head down, and you work hard and you make what you figured out, you turn it into money. Yeah. That's the way it hope. Should be. And so you're on the right path.
Yeah. And that's why it feels so different, because I'm, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I've had some things come up that are definitely not desirable, but I'm not at face value, I was scared as fuck when these things came up, but now I'm starting to cope with them, be like, okay, I can overcome this. I've done worse, right? I've overcome worse, but I love riding my bike and I love traveling on it. And I also know that that's something that, to be 60 or 70 years old, to still be able to do that is going to be a fucking blessing in a sense. Right. And so I don't want to like live my life thinking, okay, well, I always have my 50s and I always have my 40s and I always have my 60s.
You should never live that way. So I always say, this year should always be the best year of your life. You have these guys saying, oh, I was so good in my 20s, or when I was 23, or when I was 20, or when I was 30 years old, that was such a hell of a year. Fuck that. This year is going to be the best year of my life. Next year is going to be that. I sound like a fucking pep talk, but I mean, I truly believe that every year should be the best year of your life. And everything else is a fucking excuse. If it's not, what's your excuse for it? Because it's just a shitty excuse. Just make it better. So.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's definitely been great years the last couple of years. And, like I said, man, I just want to see it grow and I'm still figuring out, like, even with podcasting and with all this platform growing the way it has, it's like it's starting to compete with my paint money. Nah, not really. Not really, but really. Like, if I wanted to live,
even if it's close, like, if your podcast can pay for your mortgage, the rent at your shop, a car or something, it's finally getting somewhere. Like, it's finally like the fruits of your labor. Like, you put, how long have you been doing this now? 2 years, 3 years, 4 years?
We're going on, so January will be 4 years.
So I mean, it took you a long time to get here. Like, nobody's gonna say that you did this and you didn't deserve it, or like, fucking, you 190 episodes, 230 episodes, something like that.
215, 216.
Yeah. So on average, 2 to 3 hours, 1,000 hours into this thing, just on air time. Forget about off air time.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things, like I said, man, because it's it's awesome. It's crazy to be able to make $1 doing stuff like this, but it's still like I can't quit my job and do this. I can't trust it. If that makes sense. But you say, like I said, I think me and Steve did a podcast, and I actually lost a lot of Patreon supporters. You know what I mean? Like, I guess they didn't like us, what we said on that deal or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, like, when COVID hit, like I lost like 3 sponsors. You know what I mean? Because they didn't know what was going to happen. So if I was like relying on this to pay my mortgage or anything like super livelihood, then I'd be kind of screwed. So all I really do with this.
But when COVID hit, that's something nobody could expect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But they don't give you don't get a stimulus check from fucking a podcaster.
You don't get, and you lose a lot. I'm sure you got all your sponsors back since then because the economy is booming. So like that's something that nobody would ever expect. I mean, could you ever make a living off this? Who knows? I mean, I don't know if anybody can answer that. Yeah. It's still, if you can do podcasts and do paint work and make a good living, you made it, and you work in something you want to work in every day.
Yeah, the main goal.
That's something really cool.
The main goal, and I know that we've kind of, talking with you and Kyle and a lot of friends, the whole money with the podcast thing comes up. But realistically, man, like, I love doing this shit, and I love the conversations, and I get a lot out of it. So when I travel and I get to go sit down with whoever, right, it's worth it. You know what I mean? Even if it was $500 a month or it was $50 a month, it's still. I want to stay, and I think I am. Mentally, like I'm good with it. You know what I mean? I'm not looking at this like you guys better pay me or I'm fucking shutting it down. Like I'm gonna keep doing this. I have fun. You know what I mean?
But I think it's because your friends see how hard you work and what you do, and we all think you should be getting paid for it.
Oh yeah.
That's why that's why you look at me and you say, I should make money off the page and not feel bad, but I do. So like everybody's gonna look at somebody who does something well and says, if you do something well, you shouldn't be giving it for free. Like that's an expression, something I don't have it right, but that's something like that, and I get it, and you bring a ton to the scene, so it's cool.
I appreciate y'all's noticing.
Everybody's probably listening, saying, "Okay, you guys can stop hugging and kissing now." Talking about bikes, but that's okay.
Well, we can start rolling this up. So, how do you? We kind of touched on a little bit of bikes, but if you had to predict one, I don't know, what do you think of 2022? I mean, like I said, we've done this 3 years now, and. My
biggest thing is I'm waiting for a platform change.
Yeah.
And I am going to be one of the first people to jump on this platform.
Yeah.
I am ready. I'm willing. I love change. I can't wait to see what Harley is going to do, what people are going to do, how we can make these things work better.
Yeah.
And if work better means a new platform, I'm all for it. So that's what I'm excited about a new year. I think we've all been waiting for this big change to come. So hopefully we're going to see it come. And like you said, like everybody ride more. Let's all fucking ride more. We all need to be able to ride. I mean, I wish I had the time you did.
Yeah.
But we all need to ride more. And if you're building it, you're not riding it, it's parking in your garage, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You better have a good excuse like me.
That's good. Well said, man. So, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I appreciate you doing this.
Come to fucking Sturgis and come to the Hoffman booth and pick up our Dixon and, help Mark and I not go broke. No, I'm just kidding. But just like come grab the shirt. It's fucking dope.
What days will you be at the booth?
We land on the 6th, but I get in late. I get in like at 4, so I'll probably swing by the booth. Saturday and Sunday I'll be there.
All right,
the 7th and 8th, I won't be there all day, but I'm going to be running shows. I'll be at the Bell Bar. I'll run around.
Yeah, well, see, post where you're going to be, those places, you know what I'm saying? So people, for sure on Instagram.
For sure. Just look for the gray hair and skinny jeans, That's me.
If his thighs don't touch, you know who it is.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel, I appreciate it, man.
Always good talking to you, man.
Yeah, man, for sure.
I'll see you next weekend.
It'll be good to see you finally. It's been too long. So
I appreciate you letting me come on to promote my shirt.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody who follows the page, who pushes the page, supports the page, supports you. I think that I don't think people are saying thank you enough.
Yeah.
So thank you to all the followers, to all the loyal people who are there for us.
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing.
Cool. All right, man.
I'll see you next week.
All right, bud.
Later.
Hope you guys enjoyed that. I had a great time talking with Daniel, and I want to thank him for everything he's done for us and the community over the last couple of years. And looking forward to seeing how he grows that space. You know what I mean? It's a very unique place to be, to put a lot of energy and effort into and figure out what to do with it. So I'm excited for him. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm also excited to see you guys at Sturgis. So hopefully we'll be running into you at different shows, and maybe you're camping with us at the Days End campground. Who knows? We'll see what's up. But I'm looking forward to it. We're almost done with the bike. I'm really excited. I am. I'm stoked to get the hell out of Dallas. It's hot, and it's been a long push to get ready for Sturgis. So you guys like these podcasts, man. Like them, subscribe to them on the platforms that you do listen to it at. Rate and review it on the platforms. It helps us grow. And please check out our sponsors, man. Those guys really help keep this thing going, as well as our Patreon. I'm really stoked to be able to do this stuff for you. And yeah, I'm just rambling right now. So anyway, it's been a great July. I want to thank you guys for checking out all these shows we've been doing. We're going to have a couple weeks of nothing while I gather more stuff. We're going to be doing a lot of podcasts in and around Sturgis, and going to bring you some great shit at the end of the next month. So stay tuned, and thank you for your support. So we'll see you later. Peace.